we'll get rolling, boys. Got a couple mad dogs in the studio today.
But Jesus.
Oh, just full send.
Third place, massive. He has room to progress it.
He ain't never going to do that
You're
again,
not
dude.
going up there and doing that again.
Is that what we want Rampage about?
Dude, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
We want more tricks on that hip up top. We want more tricks on that middle jump after Price is Right. You're like, wait, do you want slope or do you want Rampage?
Kyle Strait, Cam's it right. Fairclough's Rampage run. That's the whole thing.
Bad guys.
It's a judged event. Like, that line was so raw and like on the brakes and difficult. We're like, is it more difficult than the things that were on the same point of that you're skipping for being there?
That's the winning run. For
100%. Drives my family nuts and puts them through so much stress, and they want me to hang it up years ago, but it's still worth it because of this event.
It is important to me that supplements I take are of the highest quality, and that's why for years now I've been drinking AG1. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 conducts relentless testing to set the standard for purity and potency. Quality for AG1 isn't just a buzzword, it's a commitment backed by expert-led scientific research, high-quality ingredients, industry-leading manufacturing, and rigorous testing. I know I can trust what's in every scoop of AG1 because it's tested for 950 contaminants and banned substances, while the industry standard typically only tests for 10. I love that every scoop of AG1 includes probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support, rhodiola and B vitamins for energy support. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs at drinkag1.com/gypsytales. Check it out.
I met a gypsy.
Yeah, sweet. Oh, we'll get rolling, boys. Got a couple mad dogs in the studio today, fresh off the hill. We're all still picking dirt out of our ears and eyes and nose, and Cam's got a few broken ribs. And you managed to get out relatively.
Somehow I
unscathed.
sat on a nut, but other than that, it wasn't too bad.
Don't make him laugh, bro.
Sorry.
Look at the poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, to get out of Rampage like that, you're like, oh, I'm doing great. So which is really cool. And just driving back from Rampage, we were kind of going over it earlier, just like. Every year you kind of, to make that, it's like that release of all the stress and all that, you kind of start going through stuff in your head. And I was like, Cam, but should we go hit up, go talk about this? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. So it kind of sounded cool.
No, I'm stoked. It was obviously my first Rampage, so I officially popped my cherry, and I had so much fun.
It's a trip, huh? Like,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
of any event that I've like seen on TV or heard about, had a reputation, and then go to check it out. It's obviously I've watched it evolve since the beginning, but it mainly hit me when I started watching it on TV and you'd watch the full broadcast. I'm like, this looks stupid. Like it doesn't look like, it's not even the same sport when you're on TV. So I highly encourage anyone to go out there.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the sport, if you even like mountain biking, period, and you want to go check out Zion, go check it out because it is nothing like TV.
No, and to be. I honestly think that like the real event is in those weeks before. And everyone says it. Everyone always says like the dig days are the best days. But I think my favorite day was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Either it was one of the early, when I came up and like you were ticking off drops. The day you crash, you'll flip.
That might have been Thursday.
That was Thursday.
Was it
Yeah,
Thursday?
Thursday,
Yeah. But that was just the coolest fucking day. Like first of all, just to scale the mountain and get a real perspective of like when you stand on the top of Price is Right, you're just like, fuck, like that's not cool, dude.
And so then you start taking a couple steps back,
And you
you're
can't
like,
see shit.
You're like, oh, I see the ground, the valley floor.
You see
500 feet lower.
the bottom, the finish line. You're like, wait, where are you landing again?
Yeah. So I think like that, and then so to climb up and to just like really see, like actually feel the magnitude of like where you're at. But then it was just fucking cool to be at the top of the hill when you're just ticking things off.
Watching the process.
Oh, the process that you guys go through, that to me is the most fascinating part.
I'm stoked to hear you make that a point, like your first point of what you took from it, because that's what I try to explain to people. It's just cool to watch it unfold. And we don't even get to watch everything unfold because you're busy, head down on your own line and you have your own contest to win. But if you do find yourself with a little bit of free time to be able to go check out someone else's line, another rich over, or you end up hiking up a different way and you're like, it's so rad to watch it grow from, how God made it to then, they got a landing now and need to, and then watching the testing and watch everything just develop is like, it's truly unique to this sport, right? Has some similarities to moto or skiing and big mountain snowboarding and whatnot, but it's like truly unique in its own, and that you have to do so many speed runs, and it's not a big wide open power landing, but at the same time you are able to like do run-ins, so you take advantage of all the things that the sport has, but to cover your ass on all the things that we don't have, which is softer landings and the ability to ride out in powder,
Yeah, and I think that the thing that's the most fascinating to me, and it's as a person that rides at a very low level, like that, the flipping the switch or pulling the trigger on something is so gnarly. Like I know I go through that, where you go to parlor and there's a new big jump and you're like, oh, and then you're backing off and then you roll and then it's like it's in your head, then you're coming up another lap and just that process and like knowing what that feels like to overcome everyone that rides.
But it's also like the coolest feeling in the world, right? When you do check that off and you're just like, all right, going for it, and then just throwing ambitions to the wind a little bit. But yeah, it's I always trip out on moto dudes because I think both of us are the complete opposite of that. I've seen Hill and other people and other like local moto dudes that are really, really talented. And I feel like the common trend is they have to just hit it now before they
just go
in their head. But I think we're the complete opposite. I will do 100 speed runs if I gain any bit of knowledge and more comfortability. I'm not going to psych myself out to where it's going to be a detriment, but I do feel like more speed runs the better. Trying to break as late as possible. Hey Kyle, go stand on this perpendicular ridge so you can. How did you feel? What did you think? Do you think it would have? How would that have looked? And looking at videos and whatnot. So it's different. You could psych yourself out for sure, but I always look at it completely different.
With that perspective though, of you're not doing 100 runs because you're scared to pull the trigger. You're doing 100 runs for more info.
Yeah.
So I think that perspective probably helps. But yeah, just that watching you guys, like I was there the first time you hit the Price is Right drop for the event, and just that was fucking cool. Like to be on the hill and to be like, I don't know, you kind of feel a part of it. Like you're not like you're not
you can read the process that we're going through and so on. I mean,
you share the stoke when you actually you kind of like pumping you up before it. You're like, dude, you've for sure got this, and then once you do it and you hike back up, everyone's hugs and high fives and
the dead silence. And like when you're rolling in, like you can't, as a rider, you can't hear anything anyway, but because you're so focused, but like I know it's dead calm. Like when Cam hits something, I'm like watching his speed and I'm watching him through, and I'm like, I'm already celebrating, and it's like dead silent out there because it's like I guess not everyone from the sides. You don't have the same vantage point or the speed check that I've seen Cam do or whatever it may be.
And then you just float. There's no sound. There's not. It's just like this is.
Dude, the Price is Right was a trippy one because it got hit so often. Like that's one of the bigger step downs ever jumped, like period, let alone flipped. And
I couldn't believe it.
Obviously front flip, but that's like up there with some of the biggest ever. But it's a trip because there are multiple lips, multiple people hitting it. And usually on a drop like that, it gets hit once or twice before like finals maybe, like save it and like put all your energy into making sure that one was good or maybe 2 hits. But dude, Adolf and Reed flipping it in practice, that progressed the sport in such a different direction. I'm like, why? But like, hats off to you boys. Like, I'm like, I would not. There's no point in doing that in practice. You could save for your run, and honestly, I think it desensitized it a little bit for the judges. The fact they did, but it's a different era. This is like this is what they want to do. They feel more comfortable doing it. They're hyped up. They're fucking hyped on it.
Some of that wow factor kind of fades
Yeah.
bit.
That's a good
you know,
point.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is so sick.
But I remember sitting on the landing because they had all teed it up before me, and I was sitting there watching from the side. And I'm like, this thing looks so fucking intimidating watching them from the landing. Granted, to see multiple airs on it, but be able to sit there. And Adolf said the same thing. He's like, is that what it looks like when I hit it? Because like when you end up jumping it, it feels good. It's good dimensions. But we're both like, this looks terrifying. Like the sound of the wheels and it just...
Well, the sound of the impact is
just-
insane.
Like for so
You're, like,
long,
falling through the air.
Wheels are spinning 30, 40 mile an hour. Just like sounds like an eternity, even though you're not the person on the bike. And just like boosh. But then we ride it, it was like good.
Yeah.
But that was one of the first times in my life I almost got psyched out by watching someone else ride something. But then when I hit it, I was like, oh, that feels great. The jump's amazing. Like it lines up and the angles are good. You land hard, but for that big of a drop, great. But that one was trippy. Mainly how many people hit it and then being able to watch and then watching like from the sidelines is trippy. I was like, I just need to go do it myself.
I couldn't, when I very first stood up there, I was like, I could not comprehend the landing.
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck are you jumping from there to there? And it's like, it makes sense from a physics perspective.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, who's doing that for? Like, who is guinea pigging that shit?
It's crazy how slow you see the riders come in. That's
Yeah.
why you're like, how are you going to make it that far? But it is that tall that you're getting that much fall from it.
And then speaking of defying physics, though, Tom, I still don't understand how that's fucking even possible. And like full Danny way, like you can't do that on a skateboard. You can't jump 70 feet on a skateboard. Like you can't do a 25-foot air on a mega ramp quarter, you know? And then Tom's like I literally was questioning the physics involved of being able to hold on to a front flip off that. So another shout out to Tom for that one. That was
and also being that patient and confident in his rotation to because you like there's no other option, right? Like you over rotate, you're done. You under rotate, you're done. But like being that patient and that confident in the rotation itself, along with the pop and all the nerves throughout the whole event, and coming into the event too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a baby on the way, and he's like just straight up. I know that I could be in a wheelchair from this, but I got it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Dude, and that's what that whole event for me was, just like mental commitment. Like, it's just like watching a group of fucking superheroes do that, like it just really doesn't make sense to me how you guys mentally commit to doing those things. And what was sick as well was seeing some of the guys, like how cool was just watching Ethan Nell.
No,
Like he was just
pounding at laps.
He was just a vibe.
Yeah, he was.
Like fully
Witty
a vibe
and
on
just
the hill.
cracking jokes and
Yeah.
just like back to what he should have been originally, right? I mean, he had that's the Ethan that we know, but then he just got caught up in like the grind of the bike and sponsors and everything, and he kind of just unfortunately lost that vibe, lost that soul, But,
Yeah, and I think it's probably like just a lot of pressure in a competition scenario too, like the event. Like I could see, to me, watching him all week was like he was just doing it with the boys for fun kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of maybe he just figured out how to like detach from the comp side of things and just like
I think
be
he was just that
himself,
stoked. He was that stoked to be back in and like that another like I don't even know the right word for it, but just like
Another opportunity.
yeah, another
chance,
opportunity to like, oh, I'm back in. Like this is so rad. Like you wanted to really take advantage of it, and it seemed like he was having the most fun out there for sure.
Yeah, and I think it was just cool when, like everyone's got their own process. Everyone's got their own way that they kind of go through it. But there was honestly like a couple, Tom as well. Tom was like a pretty cool, like he had a really sick vibe the whole week as well. And they're like really confident. And yeah, it was just cool to watch that whole process. Like I really think, I don't know if anyone's ever documented those 2 weeks well, but like fuck man,
there's a few out there, and like most of us have our own vlogs now, but they've done there's some in the past that usually they've done some backstory for the event or for the ESPN episode or whatever it might be, but that captures you in your finest and at least most emotional moments, you know, and it's like the heaviest, thickest, like, and every year is different. So it's, you go in with a mindset and you think that this is like adhering to one single person, their process. But like, I feel like I have a different process every friggin' year because I'm going through something different. I have different goals, different part of your life. But no matter what, that is like the pinnacle of where you should be in your life, and to like peak at the right time and emotionally and to whatever you have dealing with your life and family and, you know, whatever, like Ethan needing a frame sponsor, but he's back. He has that perspective and he appreciates it that much more. And he's going back to his roots. Like everyone has a different story and it's like a superhero movie. Like you said, I feel like I get to play superhero for a day, make my kids stoked and, you know, just inspire other kids. And that's the place. Like you get this opportunity to be a superhero for a little bit, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a cool way to put it. And like, yeah, everyone's going through their own thing. Like everyone's got their own story, their own like storyline coming into that event. Like even, you know, when you did the podcast last time, like you just lost a bike sponsor, you know, so it's like everyone is going through so much. And then it's like, it's all kind of leads up to that, you know, those 2 weeks in the desert to kind of like prove yourself almost.
I think also too this year there was such good weather throughout that week after building. And for the most part, a lot of the athletes were ready to ride starting first practice day. Or at least they could ride specific things, right? So I don't ever recall being able to practice that much, whether like our line wasn't done or it was windy or whatever, but being able to practice that much was kind of insane. I mean, we definitely never had that much practice.
Yeah, and that was mostly due to the course builders or the teardown crew they outsourced that year, 18-19, didn't tear anything down. So that's why we had such a leg up this year for like, that's why everything was done so early. You could have, if you had to, probably ridden our whole line without touching it if you really, really had to. Like, but obviously we're going to take as much time as we can and water and do the best we can to make it as safe as possible. And a higher probability of landing it. But yeah, this was a crazy year for that we show up and none of the walls and none of the sandbags are cut, none of the walls are taken down, just not holes in the lips. It was definitely a treat for the diggers and us. And I say that after I, you know, had a huge couple crashes, but safer. So it was overall safer for everyone.
Yeah, how did this event stack up this year? Like, how would you describe this Rampage and how's it different to other years, you think?
Well, it's always tough, right? Like when you're reusing a venue, you're kind of like taking some of your previous info from that, you know, that past competition, and then going from there, you're like, okay, how did I do at that one if you were there? Or how did the other riders do? What did potentially the judges like or not like? For me, I don't just kind of like went with the same run. I really enjoyed that line that we had last time. I did a little bit of different section in the middle bit, just to kind of straighten things out and try different things. I tried to actually, coming into that, I tried to look at a different drop in the top section, but still connect to that same Price is Right jump. And in my head, I was like, okay, you could come over this way. And then once I actually walked the course, I was like, well, there's no way to get over there. There's giant boulders. So you kind of make a plan beforehand and go into it, but I don't even remember what you said.
Well, just how it compared to like
how to
other years. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
did you hit your head?
I got lost. I don't know. I started thinking about stuff.
I think what you're kind of hitting on is that this one is recycled.
Yeah.
And no matter what, you'd be a fool to build a completely new line if you did ride an 18-19.
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck to it a little bit. Try to amend it. Try to upgrade, add some tricks in here, fix, you know, if there was a section that didn't flow that you didn't have the opportunity to make enough time to connect it, add onto that. But as far as like overall, dude, I'm just looking at like where Tom and T-Mac went, like that thing drop was insane. Like that was one of the cooler, most like jaw-dropping features ever. You know, like you could see it from the bottom of the hill. It looks every angle looks massive.
Yeah.
And it was, but it lined up and it was good. Like crazy run out, but it was like what a find, you know? That wasn't even actually I think that's the one that I saw and it brought up a tape measure to try to go work on it, couldn't find it. So I found that one in 18 or 19 and then was like, oh, let's try to find it. Couldn't even find it, and they found it. And T-Mac heard I was looking for some, and he's like, oh, don't come over here. But like those, that has been there the whole time, you know. And it took like, so we need new sites. But then it was so rad to see how many new things got brought out of this site, and then upping the level. No one had flipped prices right before. Multiple people are flipping it now, and front flips. That shows a huge progression. But then also the bigger drops, like I don't know, there's like Storch spinning that bottom drop, still the biggest drop ever spun, you know, give or take a few between some he and I have done, but like they're
went deep too.
Yeah.
Real deep.
So shout out to Michelin for that. That tire held on plenty fine. But yeah, just to see how like it's plateaued to some degree. You can't go that much bigger. But then there's still really unique things that were found and elevated, like practicing, doing those flips off Price is Right for Adolf and Reed in practice. That's like progression in a different direction. I think it was just overall an insane event. And Brandon taking the win with a very, very, very unique run that only he would be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
And then we have, you know, the other side of Brendan Fairclough. People are just, that's what people want to see apparently. They want the more raw stuff. But to have that, essentially his run all the way to Semenuk's, everywhere in between, it's so dynamic now, and everyone has their own styles, and everyone is bringing something else to the table, and everyone's progressing it, not like Slopestyle did with the Brandon and Brett show, and then everyone following in that direction now, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's so much more dynamic, which is proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's like two ways you could look at an old site. One way would be like, they're just doing the same thing, or that's like it's too easy for the diggers and the builders. But then the other side is like there's so much time to ride, there's so much time to practice, and like the actual level of riding really did elevate because of that. And then, like you said, there was still some new stuff that got found. So yeah, that's got to be like a kind of a tough balance to walk, you know, like as to what you do each year as like the event organizers.
Yeah, and they have logistics and budgets and everything and permitting to jump through. So these zones are all same owners, same road owners, or there's multiple land ownerships to make it happen, but they have great relationships with all of them. So from an event standpoint, you see no-brainer, turnkey, let's keep it going, let's just keep recycling these. And it'll be a great show. It was awesome, but we need new sites. Like it's time. I was telling Todd Barber the other day, so we're gonna try to get a meeting going, try to gather everyone together, and we go through it every couple of years, and it's kind of a Knights of the Round Table type deal. And okay, let's go search, let's go look for one. T-Mac sent me a zone that he and Todd rode motos to, but it's different. It's BLM ownership, and it's just. But it needs to happen. It needs to be like the priority, because this is the same 4 sites forever. And we need time for a new one.
Are they receptive when you guys talk to?
For sure. But then it's also
just the logistics.
Bottom line of, you know, how much more work we have to put in, how much less likely is it that it's going to get approved by BLM, and then how much more budget is going to be. And
because that site was the last new site we had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this year's competition was the last new site we had, and that was fresh in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018. I mean, it just keeps going, right? Like, depending on where and what kind of like like this year we had the most water we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe the water.
Pretty impressive, right?
So good. Yeah, like just like full blown hose pressure.
Yeah,
the entire time.
That's what's changed the event more than anything.
Really,
hands down, the advent of water. And so, just to explain it real quickly to everyone, there's either a natural spring, or this case, top of Gooseberry Mesa, and then they pump water. Normally, it's up to the top to 500-gallon holding tanks. They literally have a 2-stroke motor, water pump, maybe to another one to supplement it to get all the way to the top. Holding tank, gravity feed down the roughly 1,000-foot elevation. And then we just tap in our hoses and carry around 150, 200 feet of hose. You could tap in water. These landings you couldn't build them before. Like remember when the first Oakley Icon Center came, that we might as well hit that feature because that feature would take you 2 weeks to build.
Yeah.
If possible to even build it. Now we can build those landings in a couple days. Like, because everyone knows how to trench it well, build walls, and then we stagger multiple teams usually, and then make just full on like Egyptian style like building, just finding a different way to make the dirt work, and then water it, like spray water where you want it to stick, and then it just hoofing water and fresh dirt over it, and it just snows on it and sticks where you want, and then get repelled in, slap pack. Like literally a couple days, you could build a landing that you couldn't build before or needed a machine and it needed to be pre-built. So why wouldn't you? That's one of the biggest things that keeps getting brought up is it's too slope style. It's like those size of jumps and tricking them wouldn't be possible without making the landings that good. And if they weren't, then it wouldn't be what it is. I feel like the event would have diminished a little bit or wouldn't kept gaining steam. There's that's one of the evolutions of it.
Well, there wouldn't be those flips off of Price is Right or the threes or, there would be much smaller scale trickable features, right?
Yeah.
But with the add of water, you're able to make those giant landings. But then unfortunately, you use water over here and you use it over here. And then you're like, well, it would be nice if it had that cushion on that side and that gets packed in and it ends up pretty smooth out there, which is, you have your positive and negatives out there for sure. But there's we've talked about a lot of different ideas on how to progress a sport without with still keeping it rampage, right?
Yeah.
Like limiting water. I mean, you want to and obviously you don't want a ton of crazy rules because it is free ride. But I guess that would be one of the options of trying to make the lines rampage with still keeping it, gigantic landings.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing that the comments. Well, after this, it's mountain biking's crazy with how active the community is and how active the pink bike forums and and the whole week, everyone that was around was like, oh, the pink bike comments. Wait till this is already on pink bike. There's a crazy level of investment, which is fucking cool for the sport that you have that engaged of an audience, but. Yeah, one of the big things. Oh, it's fucking slope style, but it's I was thinking about it because we did a bunch of filming with Brandon on the the whole week, and
Semenuk or Fairclough?
Semenuk.
Yeah,
and he's as fucking slope style as it gets, right? You guys were the only ones riding a single crown, but I was thinking about it if you've got a drop that's this big gnarly, it's free ride, but you can also tail whip. Flip it.
It doesn't.
Well, then you're gonna tail whip. How do you take that out of it? If a guy can do it, it's fuck. Why wouldn't he do? That's obviously gonna score better in the judge's eyes if somebody just does the same drop and straight airs it.
If it was not a judged event, then you're oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna do this because this is what I like. But unfortunately, we're there for a contest.
Yeah,
right?
And if you have a guy that has the ability to do that and he does it. Well, you have to score it a certain way, I just don't think that there's any way for it not to be slopestyle if there's a guy that can come in and just trick all the shit.
Yeah.
And then you get a guy that doesn't,
It's all optics, right? It shouldn't illegitimize something by doing a trick on it that would formerly be reserved for a slopestyle course. It doesn't change the actual feature itself. And granted, Semenuk didn't have the sheer size of Price is Right or any of those, but his line had bigger step downs and more bigger drops and step downs than Fairclough, and I guarantee Semenuk could have ridden Fairclough's line with that single crown. So I think that should get rid of the argument of the single crown should not desensitize anything. Absolutely not. I don't want it. I have no reason to run one and I never will. I don't like bar spins and tail whips anyway, but for people to say Kyle's, tail whip, and that's just, I don't know, just frowning upon it. It's he would have rode the same line. And when we...
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. The jumps there,
my line
jump,
didn't change.
And if you can do something on it, it's just going to be, it's a judged event. A tail whip will score better on a double than a straight air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one, This site in particular has so many drops and cliffs. All the other sites are giant, big mountain line up top, eats up a huge portion of the elevation. That's what's up. Like those are the things we treasure, the big and the most terrifying shoots, but like that's what we're always looking for. This site doesn't really have that. This site was just cliff, and you could find a shoot. Oh, that's kind of a cool shoot, but you're foregoing a massive step down or a cliff that's going to score higher that's trickable. So this site just kind of sucked for shoots. Like we had to force it. Like in 18, we built one. We're like, all right, judges didn't like that one. Like, but here's a cliff over here that we could use that elevation better. But most of the time, that's the goal. Like to have like the top 30% of the run is like a big pinnacle, steep shoots, you know. But even that, sometimes the ridge scores higher. Like it's the judging is fucked no matter what. Yeah. Like it's so incredibly hard to judge any sport. It's subjective by nature. But this one, no one's even riding the same line. And then you factor in the motions of second run and like how different everyone's styles are. But I don't know, this one, I think people were just gravitating toward, they want something more, I don't know, just more raw, but that they can just vibe with, that's more like consumer friendly. It's more understandable and relatable, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Can I tell you my opinion of like, or like my thoughts around the judging? So I don't know whether this could work or whether this is like the most insane idea. Could the event be pre-judged by the riders? So
on line choice or on?
So like, everyone basically, you're all good there, mate.
Oh, I'm just trying to not look like a pansy when the camera wasn't on me. I was like, I need to readjust.
Give me a second.
Look like a little bitch while you're talking.
Bro, I don't think that you look like a little bit. Just play the crash. Just Instagram clip right now. Not a little bitch. All right. So could this work, right? So you guys all know the lines that everyone's going to do, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Pretty much everyone. Yeah. There's not much that people, like everyone knew Tom was going to front flip that thing. Everyone kind of knows. So I wonder if there's a way, like Friday before the event, everyone gets a piece of paper. This is the Brendan Fairclough run. And then you guys give it everyone's individual. It's all anonymous. You score that run. You don't get to score your own run. You'd score Cam's run. You'd score, like knowing what they're going to do. You're like, okay, here to here to here to here to here. That's the score that you guys think as riders. You know exactly the risk, the exposure, like you know the deal. And then that gets given to the judges. So like you'd combine those scores. Your run is, your best run, if you do everything right, is a 93.1, whatever, right? Yours is a 92.8. Right?
94.
94.1, sorry. And it's like everyone kind of has their perfect score for their perfect run. And then all the judges get to do is to make deductions if something gets messed up. Like if there's over rotates at 3 and you like go off into the woods a bit, but then you come back on and then you hit the next drop. So you'd like deduct half a mark for that. And then it's like, because I feel like you guys really know who should win the event. You guys know based off being on the hill the whole time, based off, you've probably hit most of the shit yourself. So it's like maybe the riders judge and then they give those scorecards to the judge. And then you're like, all right, Brandon Semenuk's coming up. This is a 90 whatever run. If he can nail this run, first run, he fucks up the flip whip. So it's like, cool, that's why the score is what it is. Then he goes up for run number 2. I don't know. I just feel like that might be a way to just like fully get it in the ballpark. And then it sort of takes it out of the judges' hands in a way. And they're just there to basically like
plus or minus
police the mistakes that you guys made on the run.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, because we were always talking about it somewhat like gymnastics, to where it's all deductions and additions and max point score, max line score. But I never thought about taking, as we talk about rider judging the whole thing, but like segmenting it, like you're saying, maybe the riders just do max line choice or maximum line score. I think that's a pretty amazing idea. And even if it were a combination of riders and judges, all coming to grips with what's the max line score for this one. I mean, that's the most transparency you could get right there. All right, so I stepped into this and realized that that's the best I could do, so I really need to step my run up, or now I can't complain because I knew this going in that my run is only worthy of an 85 or whatever. Like, I think that that's probably one of the best things you could do without handing it over to fully rider judged, but just getting everyone else to kind of sign off on it, because it's a mess. But there's no way if you rode this line like perfect into every trick in the world, it would ever beat this one. I mean, I think that should be kind of predetermined, not like the emotions of it. And years past when people are, Bizet should have won because he did a double flip at the bottom. You're like, well, that's not Rampage. All right, now we crossed that bridge. Now that Adolf's doing double flips, and he's not even getting talked about getting underscored when he's doing double flip and an amazing rest of the run. I think that always thought that there should be almost different multipliers or zones. Tricks higher up on the mountain always score higher. They should. It's more elevation, more risk, more, it's harder to build a jump and ride it on a steeper portion. And then the middle should be a little bit less, and the bottom should be, the lowest multiplying of whatever trick you're going to do. So to add in that idea with adding in the rider judge and then a little bit of gymnastics, like structure of having a max score and then deductions or additions, if you just fucking laced it. And it was like, Kyle's always the fastest one down. He gains points where other people wouldn't really be getting noticed, It's like you take, providing himself a little bonus where it would normally not even be cared of as judge. So I think there's places to where you could always gain a little bit, but mainly having a base score for a line. Yeah. And then it could be raised a little bit, but dropped.
I think
more so dropped, right?
Also that it's up front, right?
Yeah.
So that when McCaul or whoever is talking about, they're like, oh, this line is a sick line, and these are the pluses and minuses of it. This is their score. And so then people aren't like, what happened? And have no idea, not being out there. Like, I think that's some of the problems of, comments or whatever, right? And most of those people have never been out there, right? And then if you take the riders, like you're saying, and they already know what's going on with their line, with all the other riders' lines, then you can get really a good understanding of where they should be in, they should be at in the scoring.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think it would, the one thing that's always weird in these events, and it's the same in Moto with X Games and shit, right? You get a guy that does the first run, and it's like, all right, like what is this to 100? Like, how do we set this scale? And I thought, like, Brandon going first this year, like, fuck, that's got to be weird on the judges. Like, here's a guy that's capable of winning any single rampage that he ever does. So how do you hand out the winning score in the first run? You kind of can't. It's such a...
Well, and then also, no matter what, we've tried to get them to do it a few times. Of back in the day, they, I guess, 2008 was the first time they didn't do it, but all those early years, the first 4 years of the event, they would hand out the scores after the last rider dropped on the first run, right? So we'd have lunch, and then they'd re-rack the order. And we've requested that a couple times. And I feel like the riders that go first, the first 4 riders, they don't get screwed in that scenario, right? Where you're like, well, where do we put them? Obviously you're going to score Brandon high if he lands it because it's going to be insane. But what number is that, and where do we, slot them in, right? So I feel like that would help drastically on those first riders drop, along with like reshuffling. Usually your first 3 riders in the highest points are kind of up there, and you're like, that makes sense. And then once it goes past that, it starts really getting like really tough to judge as well, but then also kind of confusing, right? Where should we put these boys in? If the more time you have, the more time you get to like figure it out. I mean, personally, I don't think 3 minutes is enough to like, take multiple runs and go, actually, we should put this rider here or this rider here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that they bend the rules a lot on their judging anyway, because it's supposed to be 5 judges, right? 5 top and bottom scores get washed or get thrown away, and then the average the 3 middle. I'm nearly positive that's the format, but I don't know how. I think it's 5 judges. But then there's the head judge who takes it and organizes everyone's scores and maybe, you know, asks the contentious question, against you scored this right or this high and this one, do you want to recalibrate your score? Okay. So they're there to some degree.
Yeah, that's just too much fuckery.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
Well, I don't even think that they end up doing that, right? Because they claim that they like 1 year, like last year, they said that they gave me such a high score to leave room in the middle. How fucking confusing is that for Tom and Storch? They're like, okay, we're not going to gain 8 points.
Yeah.
So like, but I've been in that position before as well against Sorge. I was, last to drop or second to last to drop, and Sorge goes down, and then I had 7 or 8 points to make up. I'm like, I got to fronty this, I got to do this, and then come to find out later that before I even upgraded the run, they told me that I had it, that would have been enough. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That was 8 points right there. But so these are the little things with experience of, all right, I know that they're going to score second runs higher. I know that this is just the way it works, the emotion of it. And then they're unintentionally or subconsciously building a TV show drama. But no matter what, it's just human nature. You want to see it get better and last run a drop. It carries some weight for sure, but it shouldn't really on the score. Like it does emotionally for us. It's harder to do it, but it shouldn't really carry any more weight on the score of doing A versus B, like first run versus second run. It shouldn't matter. But I don't think that they end up actually, it's not just magic that all of them decided to give room. It's not magic that they got 0.3 right of all of them. I really don't think it's that exact. I think that they are just ordering them and putting a number on it.
Yeah.
So,
which is not how it should be.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't provide you guys much clarity at all. And then even, this year, Brandon goes up, and then who did the run before him the second run?
Tommy G.
Yeah. So he did his
Crushed
run.
it.
Yeah, which was fucking insane.
In gnarly wind.
Gnarly wind, bro.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
Where I didn't make sense of why they were dropping or how they were like, all right, I'm good. I was like, whoa.
Well, dude, that shows Brandon's experience. We were with him the whole time through the week, right? And he's like, I'm just building a line that I know I could do if it's super windy. So he's even, that's very intentional about knowing, the second run's worth more. It's probably going to be windier for the second run. So it's pretty crazy, the thought that has to go in to a run there because, but he goes up and does his run in gnarly fucking wind.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some of the worst wind anyone rode. No one would have rode practice in that wind.
Well,
ever.
and also, too, we were looking at Cam's, so the wind picked up right when Cam was going and then stayed all the way through until almost dusk, realistically.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the windsock when Cam crashed, and it was ripping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what caught me. I honestly thought when I was laying there, I thought that I just messed up. I thought that I just didn't square up the corner enough, and I just faded. But then seeing someone sent me the video, and I was like, holy shit, that windsock is perpendicular to it. Not full 90, but
which
80,
is
70 degrees. And it was blowing me off that way into the canyon that never really thought was even a risk or worry about going there. And then, landed the flip table fine, but then just set me off that way.
and that way is no good.
Seriously, man.
There's no good. There's nothing good that way.
Most directions are not good on that one, but especially go right in the zone.
Yeah, but then Brandon he obviously was able to witness that. That didn't even cross my mind in practicing what things to worry about, things to red flags popping up. But then Brandon had the opportunity to at least see that happen to me. Okay, I'm for sure going to err more left, But that was probably the most exposed part of his line, just that one up top.
Yeah.
That really plummy, really tall and not that big of a gap drop. But I think he flipped candid even, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, hats off to him for that. But that was, he planned his line accordingly. The rest of it was pretty damn protected besides that one.
Yeah. Yeah, which is just it's just a crazy level that that's the level that you have to think about. The runs up there because it's just so exposed and there's no weight really. You guys aren't riding things that stay. It's very lightweight bikes, big drops, a lot of air time. You're just like dead weight when you're in the air, you know, and the wind's so critical.
The slower you hit a drop, right? Or so the taller and shorter, right? The slower you're going into it. So then your wheels aren't moving. Sometimes, I mean, it's debatable. Sometimes if your slower wheels don't like catch as much wind, because on a moto, right, you just transfer, but on a bicycle, you actually do like that whole float sideways.
Yeah.
The tilt. But I feel like it's way worse, or it feels sketchier when you're going slower. But when you're going faster, you move more, actually.
Yeah, you're like more of just a sitting duck if it's plummy, because you're like, if your wheels are spinning crazy fast, you can turn into it or wait. And
you've got a bit of gyroscopic effect.
That's like, that's the only thing you have, and you have more of it because your wheels are spinning so fast. But so have a plummy one, they're not doing as much, and you can't really help yourself. But it kind of like that. What blew me off kind of felt like a moto. It blew everything. It didn't wipe my wheels out from anything. It just pushed everything over. Yeah. Which is what's nicer about jumping a moto in the wind, because it doesn't just grab your wheels. It pushes like everything and doesn't rip them out from underneath you.
I wonder if it was so like when you're flipping, a lot of times it'll transfer you, right? Instead of like blow your wheels out.
Yeah.
But then you table that one? Mm-hmm. I wonder if it just weirdly grabbed it.
I set the jib sail too, and it sent me even more.
yeah, basically. Yeah. Well, should we watch them run?
Yeah.
Because I think it's probably pretty cool to give viewers, or like the fucking pink bike people, like an insight of like, while you guys are actually like watching these runs, as to like where you think that they should land, you know? Because I mean, dude, I watch everything. I'm like, holy fuck, that's the one. And it's like, there's levels to the game like that I just fully don't understand, you know?
Of course.
Yeah, there's
also Brandon in a vest.
Yeah, is this first or second run?
I think this is his first run.
His first, yeah.
Full screen.
Dude, it was so nice out that first run.
Oh, it was beautiful, eh? So 3's that first drop.
Truck driver even.
Yeah. You catch the bars there? Flip can.
Yeah, so 360 bar spin, flip can, like this.
Clean table.
This is fucking magic, right? This dude is so damn good.
Oh.
And it's just hard to...
This was gnarly. We were there when he was building this.
Yeah, like that's a pretty heavy one. Straight into a little canyon gap.
Pause it. So go back. So he's fully on the brakes.
Oh, yeah.
For most of that. Like that, I guess these are some of the details that people don't get. So like when he was doing the practice runs at that, he's basically on the brakes the whole way, lets go, and then tries to get the speed to jump onto that tiny ledge. So then he was on the brakes when he was like kind of half hitting it from like basically the top of that landing there. So then add in all the extra speed that you've got to drop into that chute. Like the timing and precision that you guys have to like calculate speed by like braking and letting brakes off. That shit was fucking mind blowing. And you guys are doing that on almost everything.
It's probably the biggest skill you could have out there, is like imagining what you're going to be like when you're braking as late as you can up to a blind step down, because you can't, you obviously got to brake at some point, you know, like before, without actually jumping it. And then that for like cruising down. And luckily on this one, so this chute, you could see the gap the whole time. It's
with the downhill kind of takeoff, you can see throughout the whole thing and judge.
Yeah. Because it's not blind like where you're actually landing.
And this one was pretty straight. Like it's a raw, heavy, steep chute, but it's pretty straight. But he also 450'd into it, and and then that other step up out onto a bit of a lily pad. Like it's full on for sure. But it's also, it's a great build. I mean, he doesn't really have to turn much, and he can just let her eat and open it up there. But probably wouldn't. It's not the most difficult chute to ride, but like it's great. Find a great way to use that elevation, right?
Yeah. But yeah, just note, like I never thought as a fan that just like went there for the first time, it just didn't like come in my head. I'm like, oh, bro, like because when I'm riding a moto, everything is you're either all the way on or all the way off, right? Like all the acceleration's done before the up ramp, and then you just float over it, or it's all the way. There's none of this like in, out. So just I didn't really think of that's what you guys are doing almost every time, is like on the brakes, let the brakes go, and just to internally judge that speed. So when I saw him hit that for the first time, I was like, fuck, that's every time for these guys.
Yeah.
Like, that is so gnarly.
And there's no last minute throttle blip. Like, if you stop braking too late, then you're in the canyon, you know? But yeah, that's definitely one of the things.
It's like an invisible skill that
it takes
we don't
time
see.
too, you know? That's just seat time out there. And one of the things that some of the best riders in the world would come out, and then all of a sudden they just kind of were lacking that. And it just takes time of being out there and guinea pigging things over and over again. But definitely one of the most important skills and longest to achieve.
Yeah, and I just didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't really occur to me, you know. Press play on it, Rod. So, yeah, it goes down, little shoot, little step up. Wash the speed off there.
It's just an artist, man. It's like, oh, that's pretty chill and, like, kind of a lackluster part of the line, I guess, you know?
Yeah, almost like a little transition.
But he had,
transition.
but he had to get from A to B, and this is just ridiculous. Like,
bro,
like as if a normal whip
you
wouldn't have
see
been
how
enough, right?
On his bounce, his foot wasn't completely perfect, and so then it bounces him, and then it bounces you at like a full crooked angle. Like if you hit like a random bump on the moto track, and it bounces you sideways, right? So with his weight being slightly off and his foot just not perfect, when you land off that and then bounce off the next one, see how you like went to do that adjustment,
like transfer. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He did post a video of it somewhere. Yeah, so this is the slow-mo of it.
Yeah, and this is an opposite tail whip.
Yeah, and so that makes it even harder too, right? Being opposite, because you're kicking from your front foot, and then you have way less leverage. You either have to do it from that lift up to not move the cranks as well, and then move the foot back. Yeah, see right there?
Dude. Yeah, so you're kicking with the front foot, which means you have way less leverage on the actual bicycle to get it to spin.
Or it just takes longer to even get to the point where you can kick on the chainstay. And then catching it doesn't go straight to the pedal. You have to catch it and then your feet back.
And then some people are good
and you're
at
spinning the bike the opposite direction too.
Yeah, the hula hoop effect, right? So you can hula hoop in one direction. Like you're doing the same thing on a tail whip, right?
Yeah.
Where you're doing like the good way is kind of like an oval, right? But when you do it the opposite direction, some people, obviously he's really good at it, but you're doing a full motion that is completely foreign to you. Or not unnatural, I guess.
Yeah. Like just doing your signature with your left hand.
Yeah.
I'd fuck that up.
I suck at it.
So then this is his little boo-boo on the...
Yeah, and go figure, we're talking about how much harder it is to kick an opposite tail whip, and he somehow missed the kick on... Watch him do that in practice a bunch of times. And I'm convinced he was freaking just dehydrated and stressed out that first run because he was first to drop. He knew it, and he was up there crazy early practice. Like, I'm last to drop, and I just went and did some warm-ups, and I'm, like, relaxed and chill and, like, feeling fine. And, like, and then look up and, like, oh, they're still up there. They're waiting on wind in the middle of the ridge. He was up there for hours trying to get runs in, and it was just too windy in the morning of. So in the valley out there, it's like usually fairly calm, and then as soon as the sun comes up, it heats up the valley, flushes all the air out of the pockets and everything after it heats up, and then it gets calm again. But like, so the goal is to get the contest going at like 10:30 after that kind of morning wind blowout happens. But so our early practice has to be at like 7:30. He was up there for 3+ hours easy, waiting it out, and then
no food,
messed up on an
no
innocuous little, something that he didn't practice, and he didn't practice a bunch of times. So like, I think hats off to him for keeping going and then focusing on the second run and getting some food or whatever. But I think that was a crazy, like, weird error just because he was, up there for so long.
He was also practicing sections. He was the first to drop, but he was still on the hill. Like I was at the top sitting there. And I'm like, all right, we're doing this. Like, and I see Brandon still in that kind of middle top section, still like walking through, riding, checking wind, riding a little section. And then as soon as they got to the top, they're like, are you ready? And he's like, yeah. And then dropped. And I was like, whoa. Like, I don't even know if his heart rate was down yet from hiking
walking up the hill. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, I get there, and this is just being like a full Rampage noob. I'm like, they have to climb the hill every fucking time. There's no, like, I was just expecting a way that the bikes got to the hill that didn't involve them being on your back or your back.
I mean, we would take a heli shuttle, but I don't think it's in the budget.
Dude,
I said they should
I
have done
fully
it for
thought
at
that
least,
was in the budget.
At least for like top
The
10,
runs.
the top 10 runs or
second runs.
second runs or whatever it might be. But
Crazy.
those are the things that have the byproducts of why it's so unheard of for Adolf and Reed to be teeing up 60, 70 foot step down flips in practice, because usually you need to save that and save the energy and the amount of hiking and prep it takes to even get your speed down to then guinea pig it to then go back up. Like, it's just wouldn't happen like first year build, but since that's already been there, they've already hit it. But then it's even still as crazy because there's so much energy that goes into each and every practice section of the run.
Like, what does it take us? So, like, for us to hit just that bottom drop or Price is Right, to hit it, go back and go straight back up to get the speed. I mean, you're looking at probably 20 minutes before you like are ready to hit it again.
And a full on 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you're hiking straight up, like just trying to get there, and then you're like, okay, keep that same speed in your head and keep going, and then get the heart rate down and go, okay. Like, I'm ready. You're like, oh, I got sweat in my eyes.
Dude, yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, and that's, again, the shit people just don't think about. It's like they're doing all this. Like, they have to get their bikes to the top of the hill. And just, even for us, with, like, a camera, hiking up the hill, you're just like, Jesus, dude, this is a lot. And it's even that you're exposed to so much risk. Mm-hmm. Like, it's funny, though, so we were there, like, all week. And then my wife came on Thursday or Friday for one of the Arvo practices, and I like fully hiked up with her up the top. And by that time, we were like kind of used to it. So we were just kind of like mountain goating, and she's just like, what the fuck what is this competition? Why are these people doing this? And she was blown away as well, like at what you actually have to do just to like be in that event.
To even show up. Yeah.
Fucking crazy. Yeah.
And you're building, right? So you're building everything. You're hanging off those cliffs. You're placing sandbags.
No one can help you.
No.
We have two builders each. So but we get like a little bit of help from, say, someone needs to get rigged in, the Womack and all the other badasses that are up there hanging all the branding and stuff. A couple of years ago, they allowed us to like be able to rope in to like off of cliffs and chip stuff off. Like, that shit's pretty cool, right? The fact that you need to get roped in to like work on your line.
To pack a landing.
Yeah, to pack it or like say like the
shoot from
the Tommy G, Bienve, that section, and then also what was the other one? Go ahead.
I don't know. I was just saying from like our shoot from years past. Well, actually a couple of them, all the ones at the top. You're just like no way in hell am I getting down there to try to chip this thing away.
You couldn't even look at, so like one of the shoots he's talking about, you couldn't actually look and see the landing and stand there. You had to get roped in to like visualize it.
That's so much.
It's cool though, right? Like, it's like such a cool little byproduct. Like, okay, so we can't get help from even our media guy or anyone. They can't even water for us, right?
Yeah.
Like, they could bring up beers for us, but they can't carry our tools around. Like, it's gotten so efficient to where in the past they made the rule because Brandon brought out 15 plus people. But why wouldn't you? You're trying to win a contest. There's no rules against it. So then they made it to where you can only have 2 builders plus yourself. But it's crazy what we can accomplish in just a little bit. And then the only outside help is essentially them rappelling us in because that's a safety issue. But then also it enables you to unlock something else that you wouldn't deem safe without it. So it helps up it a little bit.
Probably half the time to pack one of those big giant landings too. Like when you're roped in. So usually if you didn't rope in on one of those big landings, they're so steep that you're packing like in front of you. And then you have to like make a little foot trough or you stand on a rake or something. But when you're able to rope in, it's probably half the time to actually pack that whole landing in because you're
just lean back perpendicular to the wall and feet in rather than like digging in and 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah, yeah, because then you've got to redo all of the shit that you just did. All right, let's play on this. So yeah, Brandon fucked up. Knew he fucked up. Crowd still thinks he's a G.
Such a G.
He is fucking cool. All right, so then we got Adolf.
I don't know where I would have put this, but this one stuck out to me as underscored. and I wish so bad that he did something off the top drop. I mean,
that was one, and it
just
sucks
there.
because it's such a small kind of thing. You know, that first drop, clean, obviously.
and then like this, dude, this is one of the biggest step downs ever flipped, period. Like just the fact that he didn't practice.
Dude, how's the speed that he's got,
And then
too? That is
pretty deep as well.
so deep.
Yeah.
bro.
And then still gets off of Superman on the sketchiest jump ever.
Oh, look at the exposure there.
Yeah, dude, this is full on, man. Like this is why Andreo got scored high for being kind of on the ragged edge, but still in control. And I think Adolf absolutely crushed it with this, man.
That's gnarly.
That's a biggie, and then let's just throw in a perfect double flip here, and I don't know where I would have put him.
lands on this.
Yeah,
Oh, that's just a huck, bro.
Oh yeah, but clean, like
Yeah.
clean for sure. It just goes back to like you're talking about those breaking points on Brandon's line. So after you hit prices right, you're going. I don't know.
So let's go back. Watch
40,
it again, Rand.
40, however many miles an hour.
I'd say 50 at the
maybe
bottom,
close
I
to
think.
50 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're breaking into that next jump, the one he Supermans.
Yeah.
So two jumps after that. That amount of braking is like you can't see how far it is, and the fact that even when I did this in practice, actually, when you come into it and you're like, okay, I'm looking up, I know the jump speed for the jump after prices right, and you stop braking, so that one right there, you actually still accelerate past where you had your braking point because it's downhill all the way into that takeoff, and then it's pretty blind right after it. Then
Just the fact of going up a steep takeoff under load from both brakes is like a whole nother element as well. But yeah, dude, that was
deep.
80 feet for sure. Stomps it and then braking, and then just
he's breaking the whole way
the entire way up. And then
This is gnarly too. Like just
that's a 6 foot high cliff right there.
Yeah.
and then the edge is where Cam's line is. That's, I don't know, 25, 30,
Easy.
where he turns on that berm.
Yeah, this was again.
I think this is also a really hard one to judge, too. Like with the running, because we're going in running order, correct?
Yeah, we're watching this.
So with Brandon not having a complete run,
yeah,
this
is
one of
almost
those.
the one that sets the scale.
This is going to set the scale, right? And if you were to wait until the final, right, every single first run rider goes through,
Yeah.
you can then make it easier on yourself as a judge to go, you know what? I think Adolf should have been in this position or this position now that we've seen all of the first runs.
So, like, let's say you do the pause it, Rones. Let's say you do the all right. You guys get to be judges. Like, what do you think you would have pre-scored this run if you knew that run? That was the run that was getting done.
You mean line score? Are we going
Like what's like? Let's do
Like a number or a
because
line
it could
score?
be because this is a big turning point if we could obviously revisit our GYPSY scoring module, but to have the line predetermined, but then you add in the tricks of how do you add those, because if the focal point of Tom's run, I think, should supersede so many other aspects of judging, like focusing on the one hammer that is the best trick, that is like
Rampage, right?
like that. You have to reward that level of risk. Like even if there were some other things where he could have done better. So do you multiply features on this predetermined line, or are they all just like a complete one-off upgrade? You know.
Well, I think how the scoring would work. I don't know. I guess there's two ways that in the GYPSY scoring format, right? Would be the line. You'd max score the line plus the tricks, or you could know the tricks that he was gonna do, and then you take it all into consideration. Because so in Tom's run, obviously we'll get to it, but it's like I think he doesn't trick the first couple of things until he gets to
he spun the first drop.
Drop.
Yeah. But after that, sorry. So then it's like straight drop. Then he hits the
hip.
Just hits the hip.
It was like a shark fin step down, and then
he does the front flip.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're just doing the line score without.
So I guess on that note, if he rode a step down, a shark fin one that was unique, that was right next to the ones that we were riding and everyone was flipping. So it was a different one. and it's a little more difficult because it's a shark fin. But he just wanted a more flowy way
to get into to prepare for the front flip.
But how many? But that shouldn't deduct many points. You know, it definitely
because he didn't trick it.
Yeah, maybe it would add some there because But how many points was that flip on the step down even adding versus straight airing it anyway, or is it just frowned upon because it wasn't as much of a hip and he should have been able to style it more? I don't know, but there's certain things that would outweigh even what that obstacle could have even provided had he hit it. It shouldn't be deducted.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so if you go, all right, this whole run, like the reason why he didn't do anything off, like, so 3's the first drop, but then the reason why there's nothing going on there is because he's putting everything into literally the biggest trick that's ever been done at Rampage. So it's like if you have the line without tricks, it's like you go, oh, that's a 75. But then like what would need to make it a 95 would be like adding 20 points for that one trick. So it's like, are we comfortable to do that? Or do you just have to score the whole run in context? Because if you know that there's a front flip that's going to get done on that drop, then it makes sense why the rest of the run before it was the way that it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder if you could simplify the line score beforehand, right? Where all the riders, you go, okay, like a 1 to 10, right? And you're like, okay, these are all 8s, these are 7s, these are 7s, and then that gives you a baseline of your run score, and then you go take in real time of what tricks you did and the amplitude and then so on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, I don't know how you label it an amendment or just an exception, but it reminds me of like WSL finals and John waiting for two wave. You know, he only got 2 waves in one of the finals, and he just roasted down the line. So Idolo is just doing, you know, air reverse, or full rotation, 540 or whatever. I forget what they like to call it in surfing, but essentially 540 is down the whole line. And then, or alley-oop when he's, and John decides to just roast down the line and get as much speed as possible and one giant hack and then on 9.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that is the sickest shit ever because he laid it on the line and he took the risk for that wave and did the most filthy turn you could ever do. I think that that should be rewarded because of that level of risk. And Tom,
that's the same thing.
Taking the highest level of risk you could possibly take. And what he didn't populate the rest of his run with more of a Brandon style run. It's not a Brandon style run. Like that is a full on Danny Way, Babe Ruth swing for the fences. Like put it on, and then he flipped Biggie. He still spun the drop up top, and then he flipped Biggie at the bottom, and then he flipped the other double. Like it still was checking boxes. He wasn't squirrely, and he did, like you said, the best, biggest, gnarliest trick ever in Rampage. Period. Like bar none.
Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense. Not like, okay, this is risky. We're kind of pushing the limits. That is like, I don't know if this is even possible.
Bro, to not be on the podium with the biggest trick that's ever been done at Rampage,
and then
kind of gnarly.
And then
didn't crash after it.
No.
Didn't fuck up before it.
Clean run.
Full clean run. Biggest trick ever. Not on the podium.
And then our whole industry is fixated on Brendan not being scored two or 3 places higher, like where there's no real like concise answer of like, okay, he was underscored, but where should he have been? I mean, should he have been 8th, 7th? Like where do you think, like, cause there's somewhere you're drawing the line, like, okay, there's no way in hell it should have beat Carson or whomever else, you know, like that's like a hard stop, but like where should it be? And everyone's focused on like 3 or 4 places there. Tom, 3 or 4 places should have won, and no one's really talking about it.
Yeah.
It kind of, it's a cruel injustice. Like it's I don't know. I don't understand the industry and the way our heads work sometimes, or the kind of the mob mentality. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on the Tom one. Like I just think like you said, you can't do the biggest thing that's ever been done. Like just take, like you said, the biggest risk. That's the best way to put it. Like he just took the biggest risk at the comp and it worked. Like he did it. He did everything and then flipped Biggie in the end. Like, so yeah.
Well, and then to me, even you take Biggie, right? I mean, what is that one? 50 on
Yeah,
the
it's
diagonal.
54 tip to tip or something. So, real like disclaimer, I guess, it's not really okay to say. I called Adolf on it because he said 70-foot drop. Like a 70-foot drop would entail
Would
that
be
it's
dropping 70 feet.
But you could say 70-foot step down because that's where we measure them tip to tip, and even
'Cause
flat drops.
It's
will measure,
much easier to measure diagonal, right?
Yeah.
You can't really. It's really hard to get that actual
Yeah.
vertical.
So we're on Pythagorean theorem sometimes, and usually you can just run a basic number if it were a 45-degree angle and even out versus down. But so that one is a flat drop. We call that instead of like a step down, but it's like 54 tip to tip, which would be like a 35-foot vertical drop, like heavy. And he flat flipped it, more technical, no lip. Like that's something different, even. I feel like that was the worst part of this event was Tom's score.
Yeah, and then you even
More than me getting hurt.
you even well, you're all right.
Yeah.
That's semi.
That is
You will be all right.
Yeah, I'll be okay. But I'm saying that made me more upset than me getting hurt.
Yeah. And yeah, even just reading his Instagram caption at the end too, like it was so gutting to like read that as well. He basically just says, like, I should be leaving Rampage just like the happiest I've ever been. Like I did the gnarliest thing that I could think of doing and I made it work. I made it happen. But instead I'm leaving just fucking bummed. And it's like, that sucks. Because he's right.
Yeah.
Like he did do, like you drive to Rampage, you got all your shit loaded up, you got a plan, you're probably scared as fuck, and you go in and you bite off way more than you can chew, and you just hope that you're ready and prepared enough to, you hope that you can cash the check that you're about to write.
Yeah.
And then he did.
Dude, he practiced that an airbag and built scaffolding at Reader's house. He said he was just like he did
The work.
He put in the work and was an outside thinker and running. It's like starting a new business or something, like thinking outside the box and like committing to a plan and taking all the risk and finding all the resources you can to try to train as safe as you possibly can. And when he told me that shit, that what he's planning on doing when we're in scope day, I'm like, that's a winner. Like there's no way in hell. And then even Simon, so I put up my top three of who I thought it should have been Tom, Simon, and T-Mac for top three. And even Simon wrote back, he's like, yes, that's what I was thinking. Like the dude that got second still thinks he should have got second, but just to a different dude.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like that speaks volumes, like especially to the riders know the level of risk the most and what's hard and what's not, and what might be just a little bit overjudged. So I think more of implementing the gypsy
we don't have to call it that.
gypsy judging of like adding in at least one layer of
there's got to be an element of it. Yeah. And I just think that you give the judges, like, they know, okay, messed that up, that wasn't clean, over rotated, under rotated, like and then that is a 0.5 deduction. That is a 1 point deduction. And then you're gonna get so in the ballpark of where people should be. Yeah. Because, and to speak on the Fairclough thing, right? So we got fourth last year, and then pretty similar run, and got 11th this year. And it's like that he added things to it. So even like to go from a fourth to an 11th, and then you get given the Trailblazer award for like none of the mathed. Like I don't know where he should be versus where, but that to me, I'm like, okay, that part doesn't make sense.
I think
you go ahead.
That's all good.
And I could be fully wrong on it, but from the outside in, I'm like, I can see how just the casual fan is just like, the fuck's going on? Yeah. Like if you understand those variables.
You take the top 10 runs of this year's event, wherever you want to, even let's just say the top 10 dudes, right? And you take just their individual run and move it to a different location or a different year, most likely, almost all of those runs are going to win on those other days.
The year before, yeah.
So it's hard. You can't really take a previous year before, and then also I feel like his line was way better last year, and like he had more drops in it. The difficulty was definitely up there. I mean, it's Cam, and I feel like most of the riders feel it looks fun to ride. It's sick, and it's definitely more raw. But I mean, to judge that compared to a previous year, different venue, all of that, different other riders also did different runs. It's kind of like it doesn't match. You know, you can't really use those.
And that part makes sense. But I think like the optics of that to me seems like where just the casual fan looks at it and is like, what the fuck's going on? Like, how is there that much difference like year to year, you know?
Yeah, that you can't compare apples to oranges too with different sites and different. So on each point in his line, you'd look over and say, what would he be missing, or what were the other riders building right here? Is that more difficult than this? Is that more difficult? But the whole idea of it's great. Like the whole idea of having more raw, less pre-built, like more chutes, I'm all for it. But this site didn't have the greatest chutes
for that. Yeah.
Like we always try to put one in there. Always, that's like the main. That's what it is. That's what the event is. But this site has far better drops and cliffs to eat up that elevation than that line. Granted, those very, very difficult, like super, super difficult lines, some, you know, world class. But like Kyle said, they look pretty fun, like scary, but like I'd like to ride it. Like it looks super fun. And that's not like an insult. That's why it's so appealing to people. It's a little bit more applicable to something they could do or understandable and relatable. But as far as like last year, I got eaten alive on the forums and people writing me randomly throughout the year because I thought Brennan got overjudged last year. And like I'm like, this is all opinion. Like I value different things. Like I think that Brennan doesn't like riding step down, so he goes toward canyon gaps. Like, well, there's a reason. Like canyon gaps are a lot safer. Like doesn't make them bad or should score any less. But it's just
there's only one variable on a canyon gap.
Yeah, what makes them safer?
Well, you can see the landing the whole time as you're coming down. It's not blind. That's the hardest part. You're landing on more of a flat surface, far bigger landing area. And there's no fault. Like it's a double.
Yeah, it's just the middle. Yeah.
If you
fill the middle in and it's a tabletop, then it's like fairly easy to hit the tabletop.
Yeah. And obviously there's huge consequences, just like anyone's riding out there has huge consequences.
Yeah, for sure.
But you take out one of the variables, you know, when you don't have any drop to it, then you're like, all right, well, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Let's keep watching this.
But yeah, it's all subjective,
because I guess we'll get there as well, to really break it down.
Because these are all opinions and shouldn't be chastised for having your own opinion, right?
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Just so
100%.
But it's just a strange dynamic right now of people like this is a fact that it was such, you know, so underjudged. I'm like, I don't know. I thought last year got a little overjudged, but I thought that, you know, a couple of riders should have been in front of him. It doesn't mean that his run was bad. It doesn't mean that it's not like incredibly impressive. And this is the weird part when it starts getting. It shouldn't ever be personal. It shouldn't ever say like I like him as a person. I like I like all these people. They're all friends, but like still I valued this more than that, and I thought this run was better. Shouldn't be personal.
It's not a personal dig at it. It's like literally the nature of the beast. We have to judge these people.
Yeah, and like I love Sorge to death. Great friend, known him for 20 years, but I always think he gets overscored. It's just but the judges constantly see something in his riding that is like extremely compelling and rewarding. That's just the way it is. Like I don't see eye to eye on certain things, but I'm not a judge, you know.
This 3 over.
Let's go back to the start of the
film. Insane.
Go back to this.
Did you ever walk over to that one?
No one else rode this before previous years, huh?
I thought Brett did. Was that same one or no?
This is the one that Luke rode too?
I think so.
Yeah, that was Reader's old drop. The thing's huge.
I think, yeah. I've never actually walked on top of that one, but it looks like it has good size.
So yeah, 3 is the first drop.
The amount of like...
You spun to the right, yeah.
Yeah. The amount of exposure you have on that cliff there from wind, luckily you can look at the flag and it's good, but coming off of this point is pretty heinous. I mean...
And you're just going 0 kilometers an hour right there.
Yeah, because you want to be stopped basically when you're coming off of that. And then you can get...
I was really impressed when I saw Reader starting to build that. Because it looked, you know, it was one of the more proper drops up there for big mountain style.
Big over rotation there. How he saved that.
Dude, I think the most impressive part is the section after this when he spins here. Is that he comes off a little too far corked, right?
That's
and
sick.
misses the landing.
Yeah, dude.
It's fully offline right here. So he's not on his line. And
That
actually
was
just yanks
so sick.
because he knows where he needs to get back to.
Full
I was like, dude, that was so sick.
Bro, this bike, too, just went forever.
Apparently it was fine too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Dude, I could not believe it. Like, we could see, like, we were obviously down in the finish corral, and the thing just, I was like, bro, yeah, it was going that whole
Smokes
time.
a photog.
Yeah, that was fucking gnarly. All right, Ronnie, so let's fast forward into the next little run. All right, so this is Sorge's run.
So I see
Would you
that.
rather watch it full speed or half speed like this?
We could probably go full speed until we get to something. But yeah, the thing that Sorge does really well is keeps just flow and never. He builds lines to where there's not harsh breaking points, and you don't
he
have
builds
to
them
like
on the
creep
ridges,
into
too,
things. That
where
was
they're-
G. I was
Yeah.
really proud of him for that one.
They're like as you look up from the bottom, there's always like he's on a ridge and he's at a high point and he's always in the air.
Yeah.
Right? And so not that they're at a crazy difficulty line, but he like does it really well to like make sure he's always in the air and a lot of the spots on those runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually probably the most hang time of anyone.
I think so.
Just bigger step downs, and he likes the big lips too.
Gnarly.
I think that's probably the biggest one he's ever done too.
I think so.
I mean, one of the biggest ones done. Period. But
And you know, with judging stuff, right? Like he misses. You take that run and you go, okay, all right. Well, he quote misses a trick on that last jump where Adolf double flipped. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, how do you want to score that? If we score Adolf way high in that, okay, now we're rewarding the jumps at the bottom. But in Sorge's run, he did flip on Biggie, which Adolf did a Sui on. You're like, okay, well, Sorge's higher there. You're like, all right, that makes sense. And then you take other ones. Do you go, all right, is Adolf's flip on Price is Right, is that score way higher than what Sorge did on this side? And you're like, okay. So you're like,
and then you have to factor in overall impression too, which I think is where is Sorge's strongest suit.
yeah.
Of like A to B with no minimal like huge slowdown points and creeping in anything. It just finding really good jumps throughout it that carry consistent speed, which is more fun to ride too. So I mean, it's an art, right? Building the perfect line out here is a straight up art for him, and he's one of the best at finding one of the best ways down with the most airs and making it look good.
Yeah, it looks sick.
Love how everyone's style, even from Sorge when he was like 17, the same Sui,
The same thing.
Like, grown ass man versus a child version of yourself, and you have the same style.
Yeah.
You ride the bike exactly the same.
Dude, Reed's a good vibe too.
Yeah, they got this was the first time he hit his bottom step down,
Yep.
In this run as well.
Yeah.
which takes it back to the old days.
Yeah, dude.
There's a lot of times when definitely wouldn't get a T to B before your final run, but there would be a lot of times when you'd it's a few times you'd hit something for the first time in your run.
2019 was the first time I'd ever done a
Dude.
complete run from the top to bottom before my actual run.
Yeah.
Dude, that flip was like the most picture
Clean.
perfect, cleanest step down flip ever. On a 170, 60 bike? 160 bike?
65 maybe? I don't know actually.
So that's the first time he hit that draw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge build. Took,
Massive build.
I think, at least 7 days of building went on just that landing. Reed's so good, dude.
Yeah. He's just the nicest kid too. And he's just like, again, just another good vibe dude.
Yeah.
At the top of the hill, you know?
Yeah, he's a G, man.
And
Yeah.
like another thing too, again, like local out there now, just put in the work.
For sure.
You know, like built drops to practice on, just
Yeah.
really like trying to hone in his craft, which is just so cool because nothing's free out there, dude. Like,
Dude, even just going, even though you live out there, like
Yeah.
Luke moved, I helped raise this kid, proud of him. He's, he moved from Reno down there last year. Dude, last year we had a little after party instead of like going out to instead of going out to the formal after parties for the event last year after one. I was like, let's just hang out at my house or the Airbnb and just get to hang out with the kids and no one has to leave. And I remember Luke was like, he was tearing up and he was a little buzzed up. He's like, I'm fucking doing it, man. I'm going to move out here. I'm so inspired. I'm just going to win it. I'm going to come out. And he did, dude. He hustled, was working his dick off through the summer out there and just getting up before the sun goes up just to even get laps. That takes some serious devotion and heart and discipline to like want, even after you live there. A lot of those dudes, they don't ride that much, like, or at least they didn't years ago. I think they're a little more keen now, but they just, like, it's difficult to ride. And you take your truck down the same long dirt road to even get to the spot, and then it's baking hot, and then you got to put in the work to even get a lap. Then you got to hike for even any, like, but putting himself there by moving to Utah, given all those kids, like, the best opportunity you could have.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, just to be there, just to be a spectator at that event takes fucking work. Like, I skipped Wednesday. I played golf. I'm like, you know what? Today's not the day for me. So, like, just to get out there, just to get up the hill, just takes so much work. And then, dude, not to mention the risk. Yeah. Like, being out there by yourself, like, riding that shit. Like, bro, there's a lot of fucking risk in just getting on that hill to ride. Even
you get out there, say you live close by and you go out and you're like, hey, I really want to spin this drop today. Like, I've been thinking about it for a while. And you get out there and it's windy. And you're just like, all right, I gotta put this on hold.
Back in the truck. We're gonna go home, I guess. No, yeah, full commitment. Right, press play. We're good now.
So his shoot, solid flip step down. His
the
shoot
worst
that he
jump
has,
on course.
Right?
That thing was so shitty. Dude.
What?
That jump, that step down lip. That thing was such a harsh landing doing anything, but it was like the pre-built.
So all those shoots that we had this year are kind of in that same area, right? Where that one's like super, super slow to drop to like then
Mach 10.
Yeah, Mach 10 elevation, right?
Oh man, I really was hoping he was going to spin it. He's got that. He's
for sure.
Playing it a little safe his first go to get a run in.
Yeah,
I guess for second. Yeah,
he was hoping second run for sure, but and just to be able to be first time Rampage and get one solid run
in the
dude,
bag,
that's like such a big thing for your confidence, and then also like, okay, I can get through these jitters to get through this.
But dude, that to me that looks very technical, like that line that he just did.
For sure, it was for sure technical.
Really on the brakes, like looked like the brakes weren't slowing him down as much as he wanted. What? That is so sick.
But then that's where it's a judged event. Like that line was so raw and like on the brakes and difficult. But like, is it more difficult than the things that were on the same point of that you're skipping for being there? Like it's a judged event, and it's like, is A bigger or B bigger? Or is A, you got to pick and choose. And unfortunately, can't. Yeah, those lines, those style don't score as high unless they're just ridiculous, right?
Yeah. But I feel like even when we rode like arguably the gnarliest shoot and ever.
I'll claim it.
And we even rode that, had a good line, and we were like, and I was in like 6 or something, and I was like,
what shoot?
They don't care. That was 16, 17.
Yeah.
Can you find that, Rains, real quick?
Or skidding front wheel off of
Kyle Strait Rampage.
Or Cam, yeah. And so at that point, we did those ones. That was the gnarliest one ever known to man, right? No one's ever been out there and refilmed it or redone or anything. And then, when we go to that venue, so in 18, we had another shoot. And just as Cam touched on earlier, that we didn't get judged good on that one either. So we're like, all right, well, I guess most likely shoots are out, even though we love it and we think that's Rampage and that's what we want to portray. And we think that's some of the hardest stuff that.
So this is that 2016 run.
Yeah. That it's just kind of.
No, not this one.
It's 17.
17.
Oh, 17, sorry.
So that we're like, okay, well, I guess that sucks, but the judges want this. And so when you put a line in after learning that stuff, and it seems like it still tracks through every year of like people don't really want to care about the shoots, no matter at the highest level or in the mid range or wherever it may be.
Yeah, that's just not scoring the same. Why do they not have your?
They have just the replay.
Yeah,
You
just
can
go to
watch
that replay. Go up to the top one.
I went second to last.
Second one, sorry.
I don't know if I had a helmet cam.
Yeah, that one there. Yeah, play that, and then we should be able to find that. I just want to see the shoot.
Yeah, it was Kyle and I both wrote it, so you find either of our. That one right.
Was that it?
No, it was on the preview. It showed a quick clip of it. Oh, that's where Tom did the caveman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Pef wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's play him because he actually guineaed it.
Oh, so this is the first time.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, we'll build it together. We're committing. And then when it came time to guinea it, it wasn't like even a Rochambeau. He's just like, I'll do it. I'm like,
he's like, if you don't want to do
fuck
it,
yeah.
I'll do it. Well,
So
we also
sick.
split up in teams too. Like he picked the top of it out to make it rideable, like the actual entrance.
Yep.
And then Cam and I did the bottom, the landing, all of that. But I mean, to this day, there's never been a gnarlier shoot than this one.
they were like skidding front wheel off of a 20+ foot drop.
Really?
You had to go right. So right there, and then that's a 20-foot plus
God.
drop.
It's just whoop sections, bounce.
So those cliffs too in it, and then that's like a 50-foot jump. Yeah.
Go back. Let's watch it again.
I think Aggie said he measured it to 60, but who knows? It's at least 50.
Dude, gnarly.
So 20-footer, then 4, 8, and then like that one's probably where you land is about a 10-foot drop as well.
And then this is fucking loose. Yeah, okay, that is gnarly.
So like Cam was talking about venue-wise, right? So
Yeah.
this venue it really accommodates you either take the 2 ridges or you take that gnarly heart kind of like shoot zone, right?
Yeah.
And then it spreads off after that, and then there's lots of different ways to go to where those cliff band, what are they called? Just like those big cliffs, and then you can do big drops on them, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
then,
one of
like-
my favorite. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just say I think this was the coolest zone because of like it starts on a peak, it's a pinnacle, it's like the hero shots, and then it's big shoots, or you could take the ridge, like big shoots at the top, and then cliff zone, and then to like more step downs, and then bottom jumps or whatever. But it's just this Sorge beat me with the ridgeline. That's like to where it's a little bit disheartening of like, okay, I could ride the ridge and still win this thing. Like you don't have to do the shoot that just was the scariest thing possibly freaking find out here. Like
Well,
Kyle
we
said,
were arguing who was going to win that year because we're like, oh, there's nothing crazier than this plus our drops, and we were like, oh no, all right, you might have me if you stomp your run, but I'm going to stomp my run, and you know, and then we're like, not off the back, but like not as good. So we're like, well, I guess the shoots don't translate.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately.
Oh, let's watch you run, actually.
Can you see
while
me?
we're here. That's you.
No, camo.
What's that?
Dad camo.
Oh, the camo. Yeah.
dad jokes.
Yeah.
No, I got you now. I'm with you. Sorry, mate. Fuck, it's so serious over here, eh? So just like, righto, cool.
And then also you're fighting against other people's lines that are going to the left on that ridge as well. So you can see multiple lines in there.
Yeah, this one was just
Once you get past this
Bounce.
part right there,
It's
that's
over.
like the point of no return.
Yeah.
Like you're never stopping. You're not stopping unless you tried to stop like right there.
dude, I had a moment on that second year, I think,
Yeah.
to where it's kind of funny when it gets that steep, it almost won't let you crash. Like I got tossed and skipped,
You just have so much momentum. You
Yeah.
just pull
and
them.
I was
Well,
like,
you're
I'm
following
fucking- I'm dead.
the crash line.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, like where does gravity want you to go? It wants you to go to the same spot you're riding down anyway, and like riding sideways and levitating, and then it just like I'm still like riding my bike when I crashed way up there. It's kind of a trip.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, weirdly. Oh, look at that, eh? Oh, pedaling?
A racer, bro.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That was sick.
Just to go back to like, you know, talking about different lines and so on. I mean, something that we think is the gnarliest shoot ever done. It didn't do as well as we thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And then just line choice, right? Like if you were saying with the Gypsy Tales line choice, formula. You're like, okay, let's give this line, as we all agree as riders, we're like, okay, this is a 7, this is a 9, this is, if you ride it like this, you could maybe get a 5, so it might help.
Yeah. Right. Let's go back to the, let's go back to these. So this is Tommy.
Really proud of Tom for this one, dude. For first Rampage, going for the biggest steak in the house.
I'll have that one.
Yeah. Give me the tomahawk that you get an award if you finish it.
My mate Sammy has the best saying in the world. He goes, you bite off more than you can chew and chew like fuck. That's what this is.
I can get down with that. I think it's always about that, and then you can kind of reel it back. I tend to bite off more than I can chew, at least with tricks or what, ridiculous plan I might have before actually seeing the line or stepping foot out there, but then you're able to reel it back.
Yeah, you can't make it bigger.
So I'm curious, hypothetically, right? If Tom was able to get a run done,
I was wondering,
right, like how they would score that top, because there's such a transfer over to it. In some years in Rampage, that they'll like, oh no, we're not going to count. Like it doesn't matter if you have to transfer over to this ridge to get there, but it always does, right? So, it'll kill your fluidity score, or it'll kill it was just kind of boring until you got to this point, and then we'll start a run.
That's what they said about Reader one time. And these are inconsistencies. One of the judges, and just saying, we essentially scored Reader's line when he was at the lower point. So when Brendan had that, and G and them had that battleship up top last year, that was, they essentially started Reader on the Uri run after that whole section. Like, well, yeah, but you should dock the score then because he missed what happened to that elevation.
Because other people are doing stuff up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish that we got to see this run, like how it was scored.
Yeah, and then even with this as I guess not being able to get a second run, which I'm really curious on second runs on what was set up.
Look at the win there, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, you're all great, man. I think this was a huge win. This was so sick.
That is mental, dude.
It's a bummer that his body weight was just off to the side, and then he knew those boulders were there on the right side of the line.
Yeah.
You can kind of see him right there.
Oh, man, we were filming one of the practice Arvos, and one of the boys was like, get out of the way. And I had my back to that huge boulder. I'm like, I ain't in the way, bro. This fucking boulder is in the way. I'm actually fine here. If he hits me, he's in massive trouble.
I saw, you could even help him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
When Cam crashed at the top, not in the run, but in practice on the first drop, Carson and I were sitting there. We were kind of looking up. We're like, oh, it's Cam. We'll be fine. And then all of a sudden, Cam comes up short, nose cases, and then he's coming at us. And we're like, dodging. I dropped my bike. I started going to reach for Cam.
Yeah.
And Cam's bike went over the top of my head and smoked Carson in the leg and actually bent his phone and put a handlebar mark in it.
Broke his phone. Shit. He broke his phone front and back through a case and left a freaking iPhone 15 bruise on his leg.
He's so lucky that was there.
Yeah.
That would have been gnarly.
Yeah, it could have been a hematoma or something bigger for
sure.
Shout out to Apple hip pads.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, then we got the big dog.
The Vibe.
Yeah. He's such a legend.
Yeah. Big Ethan fan. Shout out to Census Grip Gang.
It's just awesome to
he's
see
on
him.
Census?
Yeah. Dude, we have half the riders. I think we had 9 this year.
Fuck, that's so cool.
And Tom on pedals and Kyle on pedals and myself, a few people on pedals too. But
I think I'm about to be on Census pedals too.
Yeah, a lot of people on grips. So
clean,
bang, big.
So
flip.
I'm curious what he would have wanted to do on the first drop.
That's cool.
That thing was sick. That's definitely, if you're judging that jump just specific, that was definitely the best.
I think that was
for sure on that hip.
I mean, for single crowns, I think that was hard. Would be harder than a down whip. But I saw Brandon down whip it in practice.
Oh really?
And I was pretty surprised that he didn't go for it because I only saw one and it was perfect. And then Ethan's the, I don't know. He's out of all people's step down lips, like he doesn't do a flat flip and he doesn't like big lips. But he has something weird in between to where he doesn't do flat flips, but you might as well be. And I don't feel like anyone that can't do flat flip technique could flip his step downs. I know it's kind of a cool anomaly, little
like the way that he does it.
Just the way he like starts the flip on a flip step down.
Like
where he's sitting on the bike.
Go back to the step down.
And they rebuilt this right before because Sorge
Maybe
wanted a
the
bigger
second
lip,
one.
and then he chopped it. He went after Sorge, so he went back and rebuilt it after Sorge went. And then Tom just did a flat lip. So his is to Looker's left right here, Ryder's right. And Tom just went full flat lip. But then Ethan, he likes just a little
Just a
bit,
tiny
which is
bit.
harder to do. But then you land smoother because you're not as much of an up and down.
You don't have to.
But like Sorge likes really big lips, which more hang time, I guess. But it's just a little easier. It's just more hang time and harder of a splat.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ethan has. I think it's really important to be able to hit them all in case no matter where So I like leaning a little more towards what Ethan does. But he has like the smallest but not quite flat takeoff. I don't know, cool fun fact.
Just like unique to his style. Yeah.
It's definitely a skill to be able to loop out a downhill bike with no lip.
Dude, for sure. But before we get into this podcast, we have some breaking news. Manscaped now offers beard products and they are available in your country. It's time to tame your mane, so say goodbye to all your stubble trouble with Manscaped's new Beard Hedger Pro kit. They have created 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. First, there is the beard shampoo and conditioner, the beard balm that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. The Beard Pro Kit also comes with 3 free gifts, a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is always ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code GYPSYGANG at manscaped.com. Manscaped Beard Hedger. 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths.
So like that kind of explains even further if you could look at Brandon's flip lip drop, right? That lip is like chest high almost.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because when you I think when you're pulling so hard to tail whip as well, you don't want to pull that much harder because then you can focus more on the whip and it feels more like a jump.
Yeah, it's like a float. It's like
You're floating
the
it,
flip
yeah.
is floatier, which makes it so you're not having to like send the flip and then send the tail whip as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, flip variations off of step downs are exponentially harder than off of a jump because you're like pulling to even get to the fully upside down rotation or point. Like a jump, you're at the apex and you're upside down. You have an unweighting at like perfect.
And you also do them early on a jump, right?
Yeah.
And then you have way less time and you're pulling that much harder when you're flipping drop or flip tricking.
Yeah, so your apex is no longer at the peak and like where
it's like
it's down here.
Yeah,
so then you're pulling before, and then you only have that much fall time of true unweighted. So you need a little bit bigger lip. Like even though people have done kind of gross looking but really impressive flat flip tail whips and like other tricks, but they just don't.
Yeah.
You need a lip to be able to like properly do it.
Yeah. You guys are like scientists, eh?
No.
I am not.
A mountain physicist.
Yeah.
No, what's the other one? The redneck engineer? No, redneck. What was that? Redneck science? No.
I don't know.
Either way,
Yeah.
pretty impressive. All right, then T-Mac. This is a podium run right here.
This round was
I didn't
so sick.
initially first see the flip table. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
that
can't
angle
see it
didn't
from
show
that
you.
angle,
But it was a good one.
but it was sick.
Send
And I
there.
think that this shoot right here is like not, the highest consequence, but he never lost any flow in that.
Yeah.
And then go straight into like a really good sized drop again.
That's what he's the best at.
Yeah.
And I'm so stoked.
Just
this
flow.
was, and this is just
Fuck, that's a huck, dude.
what
So
a
deep.
tomahawk, like steak, biggest one in the house, a big steak for my friend.
And so even in these sections too, where he could have checked up, taken a breather, he
Yeah,
kept
just
his flow.
sends.
He
Yeah.
kept his flow going.
So T-Mac's always been arguably the best ridgeline rider in the world. And I'm just really pumped that he's able to take that style and flow that's traditionally reserved for like a ridgeline with just kind of supercross doubles and stuff to this with so much more dynamic with chutes and canyon gaps and everything.
Yeah.
I think
It's
he
like
was
such
also
a treat to
super
watch.
rewarded for like watching the line. It would be almost impossible to pick out a mistake in his line and for first run. So
Yeah, it's perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, he just nailed that.
Did
He
you
even
peek,
just found Metallica playing in the corral right there and head banging right into it.
Jace? Did you peek off of that lower drop that he did?
Go,
The one
which-
like in the shadows.
Go
It's
back
right
to it.
next to Brandon's drop.
Oh, dude.
Terrifying, right?
Isn't that messed up?
No. When I got up there and saw that, I was like, bro, this
I would
is-
almost rather hit that one
I would
than
rather
the lower
hit that
one.
no problem. There's nothing in the way. There's nothing weird visual stuff. I mean, T-Mac's really good at like just eyeballing and focusing at that correct speed he has to go to hit a drop. But this lower drop is so gnarly because there's like, isn't there still like a rock poking out on the
Yeah.
side?
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're not actually going to hit it. So like if you were looking where T-Mac's looking right now,
Yeah, that
That-
to the left there.
exactly.
Yeah,
That thing
yeah.
to the left is just eyeballing you.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a big drop.
Oh yeah.
Heavy consequences. Not a very big run out.
And all that down to the left there, that's just like sheer cliff that just funnels into
Yeah.
just nothing.
Well, just shrapnel and tight canyon kind of thing.
Yeah, this was class. This
Just slapping the berms and slapping the base. And
I slap at a beat.
Dude, that was. I think that one was third place for sure.
I think also too, like taking out of, judging wise, but like taking out of all of the motion he had out of his run, like you don't even put that in there, and it's an insane run. Like it's so smooth, it's clean. It had all the stuff that you were looking for. Like, I mean, at least if I were a judge out there, like all the stuff you're looking for out there.
But then you add in the fact that he just is coming off like that.
Oh yeah,
crazy
sorry, yeah,
the
off
crazy
the injury,
and
yeah,
there's
without
like-
even adding that.
Yeah, there's so much like even to the backstory of what he did that makes it like obviously they're just judging the run, but when you like really know the mentality of like what he had to overcome just to like get to the top of that hill again to drop in, you're just like, bro,
And have a baby waiting at the bottom too. Shout out to Ripley.
gnarly, like super gnarly. All right, Godsey. Is he really running for mayor of Utah? Is that what's happening? Did you see all those signs?
Really?
Did you see the signs at the bottom? Bro, there's just like all these signs like vote for the mayor of Utah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is sad.
That's
like, dude,
sick.
just laced it in practice too. Like, did one warm up run and is like, okay, I go.
Front flip this.
Shout out to Simon for his census as well. Huge fan, Godsey Bros.
Yeah, dude. So sick.
And then this was just perfect. too.
Yeah.
It's clean.
God.
I mean, that's got that from that lip. I think it was 90, right, where he landed last year, or close to 100.
It was deep. Deep is like
That was
pushing
cool shit.
90.
It was like a spine step down. Little reduction right there, little case. Dude, he actually spun that hip in practice too, which was, I think, is the most impressive part of the whole run. It's such a skinny landing, breaking into it, and then
Coming from the
Oh,
side. yeah.
dude, this double, the way that he spun this, that was like Harry Bink.
Yeah.
You know how
Oh, yeah.
Harry does his?
Yeah.
full spot, knew exactly where he
Oh.
was. Like,
Look at this. He's like,
He's
yeah.
like, oh, there's the landing. Okay.
Okay, cool. That is.
we called that the Polish extension, dude. So he had that was our jump, and then he helped build like last time around and then this year. And he didn't think that the lip had enough pop, even after we made it steeper for a double flip. And I'm like, I don't know about, dude, I don't do double flips, but if I could, I'm pretty sure this thing would be fine. He's like, no. So he built a 2-foot like extension, like tombstone extension on the side. I mean, not even 2 feet, one sandbag width.
Yeah, one sandbag.
And
width.
added and it was just a vert wall, still 30+ foot jump, like at least, it's probably 30-foot jump, vertical lip, and just yet.
So cool. The
Yeah.
way that he does. That's such a moto double flip. Like, just so rad.
It was off of like a next gen ramp, dude.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wasn't like when they were stacking that lip, like the poles extension. I was like, I don't think he's going to be able to clear it. And first run there, he jumped it. And I was like, huh. All right. Well,
He's really good at bikes. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Bienve, dude.
Bro, he took some fucking... He had more hits than Elvis this week. Flips that, savage. God, just the speed that you've got off that too, you know? Like, most people wouldn't be comfortable riding that fast on that ridge.
Yeah, it's pretty fun up top even, but it was...
It's kind of
pretty
out a
difficult.
little bit too.
Like it was
one of the days.
Yeah, it was so soft up there, but then there's ruts underneath and like a little bit of the harder dirt.
Yeah.
I think
bro,
he was in control, but I think he just kind of got lost almost.
That is massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a huge crash go back running.
That's a lot of elevation right there, and a lot
like so the flip's sweet.
Yeah, he just
But he
kind of
just
like
goes left and a
goes
little
a little
long.
over rotate and then kind
Yeah.
of bounces forward a little bit.
But he looks. I guess
Yeah.
by the time he looked
Yeah.
up, maybe he was just a little bit off.
I think that part of the day is just so black and white for the shadows and everything.
Yeah.
I remember almost hitting a wall once in first runs, and I think, dude, it looks like he might have been just not knowing where to go and lost his run out.
When you see how much elevation that he lost in like 5 seconds, it's very hard to comprehend. Like, that was another thing that when you get there, like the bottom sort of section where like those last jumps are, you can't even see the start.
Yeah.
That's gnarly. When you can be at the bottom of the hill and you can't see where you guys take
Well, it
off.
takes you, 45 minutes ish? Like if you're hiking, 40 minutes if you're hiking fast. And it takes
If you know
about
where
a
to
minute.
go.
It takes about a minute to get down.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, I think it's 600. Is that event? That site's 600-foot elevation? Somewhere in there.
The total height of it?
Yeah, I think it's 600 feet.
No, it's more than that. The top of Gooseberry is 1,500, and it's like this
3/4 of what?
This one, I think it's really close to a G.
Here we go.
No.
Bit of a hillbilly scientist right here.
Price is wrong, Bob.
So I'm getting some hate for quoting slope styling it out and blah blah blah. But I mean, a lot of people don't know that tricks have been going down at Rampage since the very first year of Rampage in 2001. I brought 2 bikes to it, exactly same weather, and my decision was made only if it wasn't too windy out. I was like, oh, I'll ride the single crown.
Yeah.
I found some spots to be able to do a tail whip, and I was like, well, why not? So I don't know why people think that directly a single crown is going to make or break what we're doing at Rampage.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I mean,
It's not core, bro.
I don't know. And why do they get the opinion of what we get to do?
Because they're the ones with the internet account.
Oh, okay.
I got the
Everyone
internet.
gets to say, yeah, I got the internet and I'm a top shit.
I remember we got a new setup at Chocolate Ranch. Shout out to those guys.
How
for
good is
letting
that
us-
place?
Yeah, so we
Serious.
have a drop in my Maui airbag. Shipped it over, and then now we have it set up to where there's a drop and a super kicker into it.
Pause it for a second.
Out at Chocolate Ranch. But just real quick for Kyle's run, because he was saying I'm gonna run out of tricks because this zone is just cliff, double cliff step. You know, like there's so many room or so much
many
room
places,
and
yeah.
places where you would be stupid to not add a trick. He's like, I'm gonna run out of tricks. I might need to put on a single crown. And I'm like, all right. I mean, if at first I said hell no, but then I was like, if you are gonna tail whip a drop and that's gonna actually add something, 100% go for it.
Well, and again, that's the thing where it's like if you got 2 people that do the same feature and one person does a tail whip, it's obviously more difficult and it's more technical, and you should reward the person that does the harder thing.
Yeah,
sure.
actually, I was just thinking back too. I think Callan actually tried to tail whip. He tried to tail whip in it was either first or second Rampage, and then also Paul Bass in 2008 tail whipped a drop in 2008. And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying it's nothing that's not really new.
Yeah. You ain't doing nothing crazy.
Yeah,
And Semenuk tail whipped his entire run.
exactly. Well,
Press play on that.
Yeah, and tail whipping a downhill bike versus a slope bike, pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Pretty big difference.
Yeah, because that's basically just a downhill bike with single crown
Oh
forks,
yeah,
right?
It's 100%
way
downhill
heavier
bike.
tires, wheels, frame, suspension, longer wheelbase, on and on and on.
The only thing different is the stem and the fork.
Oh, I didn't even really factor that in. Like, that's not a slope bike. That's a downhill bike with single. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, see, this is why you guys are here. And fuck
So
that.
scary watching your bars turn a little bit on that.
I never see it.
You never seen me.
Oh,
do
look
shit.
at him go.
See, if that's not Big Mountain, what the fuck is Big Mountain?
Look at left and right, and you just throw a tail whip.
I was talking to Cam in the car earlier. I was like, man, I wish I was collected enough to do a trick off of that drop because I feel like that's
one
where
there?
the one before that, the bigger one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's where I really could have, gained more points or whatever, right?
Yeah. And your reason for not doing that is?
I thought I was dead before.
Yeah, okay, fair.
So by the time I got
died 100 yards up the hill.
Yeah.
So I thought I was done for, and I just used every bit of strength and will to like make sure I didn't go off into like that other side.
Oh, they turn so much in there.
I never noticed it.
Oh, go back.
that.
Just fully goes to the. It's like.
It must be like how your hands come off. My hands come off or something.
Yeah, like this one releases.
So if you
just a
look
little
at
bit.
left of that is a massive cliff,
Dude, and then right of that.
and then right of it,
Feet never touch the ground though.
yeah.
Dude, how is
I
that
wasn't
inside
collected,
corner
I like
right there,
collected
dude?
right.
Go back
there.
to that. The fucking off camber inside line.
Yeah.
Just grab a handful. Yeah.
Oh. Two-wheel drift.
And then you kind of drift in there. And so I wish I like, you say it now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wish I'd be able to be more composed before that and then try and trick that next drop. I mean, but I'm stoked that I didn't end up in the danger zone.
Yeah.
But
And
It's
then,
so funny, dude. Kyle's first flip suey in 5 years at the airbag we were talking about was just the biggest one ever. And I was like, go figure. You shouldn't practice because then it was better than that one in finals run.
they used it up.
Dude,
I used all the good ones.
Dude, first drop this dude has spun probably since 2019 at this site was that top drop. He's like, oh, my best one's always my first one.
Well,
Laced it, dude. It was
Thanks.
perfect.
I actually thought it was 2019, that same video, but remember when we filmed in 2020? Remember I spun that little drop?
Oh, yeah.
So technically my last one was 2020 on spin
That's
drops.
wild.
But
There's the fam.
yeah. RET manager, he's also the engineer.
Yeah, dude. It was cool meeting those guys.
Yeah, he's
they were,
great.
Yeah, they were good dudes.
Yeah, got really good support from those guys. So from the last time we were talking, it's been a totally different world and a really nice change,
Yeah. No, I'm stoked you kind of landed on your feet there, eh?
Thanks.
I don't even think did we even really talk about that? Or did you like even say that you?
Maybe at the end I was like, yeah, I'm looking for a sponsor. I lost mine.
I think it was,
You know?
like we didn't even really go like too deep into
Yeah.
it.
But those guys have been really good, really supportive and just like engineering and changing. So like with this downhill bike, it's exactly the downhill bike that's being sold right now. But the rear end is like 6 mil shorter for like, tricks and tailhooks and drops and all that. But just the support's been awesome there.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the bikes. The bike looks sick too.
Thanks.
Great run.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
Fantastic run.
You're alive.
Yeah, I'm alive. I made it. Another
Love that for you.
17. Obviously, you can always think about your runs later on and go, oh, I could have done this. Or, realistically, when I got done with my run, I was like, all right, well, that was insane. Like, so stoked I got it done. And then when we get to like, actual end results, I was like, you know what? Like, that has been the most insane riding out of all the rampages. Just as we talked, I was like, I'm not even upset about it,
Yeah, when the level's that high.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, like you said, the top 10 runs could have won any other
Yeah.
year. That's the one thing that I struggled with down at the bottom watching was just like, how do you pick that? Like, everyone was just, obviously you've got like a few outliers that like kind of really do stand, but for everyone from like 4th to 10th is just like,
Yeah.
they're all so fucking gnarly, All right, Talus. Another young fella out with the crew.
Oh yeah, this is his second Rampage.
Census Crip Gang, bro.
Oh, he's
Keep rolling.
really all of them.
Yeah, he's made a good come up, man. Came kind of like third year into a bit of a pro career.
Yeah.
It's almost like 2 plus a little bit, and really good rider, man.
Yeah, and just like that next generation too, you know.
Yeah, probably the most sarcastic, different type of humor dude you ever meet. And just reminds you that he's super young and just enjoying life, you know. And
Yeah, just in it.
yeah,
That's a pretty wild little shoot, eh?
yeah, especially that tight little hip. I didn't notice that before. That was dope.
That's cool.
That's hard to do
big case
on
though.
that ridge.
Definitely better than going long there, casing a little bit.
Yeah, almost like washes a bit of that speed. By this time, too, all of the water's basically gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pull it last day practice. They pull the lines and then dang.
See, like that line that's about like you could ride it a little bit better, but I think it's mainly just kind of a whack place to build, you know? Like you can only do so much with that spot, and then it just about as good as it gets, but it doesn't look flowy or like steep enough to be going that slow. Just kind of a harsh build, hard to ride.
And that's probably just experience, eh?
Yeah.
Like just not knowing what it's gonna, all of it put together is gonna look like in a sense.
Sometimes too, if you decide to do, you know, specific feature, you get forced over into another ridge, and then you're like, well, where do I go now?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you're like, you have to pick what your bigger thing is to like what's more important in your line. Right? You're like, well, I'll accept this, but I have to ride this out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You get forced in a lot of zones.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All right.
Because like once you go out where these guys are, you're completely
stuck
stuck on
there.
that side.
Yeah.
You can't get across the other side by any means.
Yeah. All right. This is the one that's gonna get all the forum guys going.
Just need buzzword, keyword, buzzword.
Yeah.
This will be the thumbnails for all of them.
Yeah. The thumbnail for this podcast is Kyle Strait Cam's rate Fairclough's Rampage run. That's the whole thing.
Bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll just do some like we'll make your faces like.
Dude, the
Like judge of construction workers.
he's got the fan base, man. People are just willing to yell from the top of every building.
All right, so starts off going off to the right, going out into his own little zone.
It is sexy and raw stuff.
Yeah.
I mean that is pretty fucking raw.
Yeah, I love that there was actually the berm in there that's pretty unique to leave raw, and then kind of a nice run out kind of funnel at the bottom that's a little more packed, but table raw like a big open bowl turn like that is super sick.
Dude, like pause
feel-
that.
yeah.
Go back. All right, pause it on top of that.
The most aesthetic thing you
Like,
could possibly imagine.
Is that not just like a gnarly? Like if you just take a photo of that, like that's a pretty fucking iconic rampage. Like
It makes
Yeah.
no
You
sense. You're like, where is he landing? You can see where he's taking off, but you're like, where's he going? Look at those close to the background, like it's exposed. It's sick looking for sure.
Yeah, and I think I heard it on the broadcast when I like watch it back, but it's basically, or someone said, if you put that again, if you just fill in the middle of it, it's just a tabletop, not that gnarly. But
I mean, if you just had the drop off the end, though, it's a big drop.
that's true, yeah. But like when you are up there and you see the exposure on each side, like standing there, you make one fucking mistake, which is all of Rampage, but like that is just, there's just nothing on either side of that.
I think that thing translates to, you know, everyday riders or most riders.
Exactly.
Like, you know, whether you're watching it from home or whatever, it translates to like, whoa, that's such high consequence, which, yeah, it is for sure, just like everything else out there.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with this one is this is one of two like bigger features there. And when you actually measure it and you put it on a scale to a lot of other things at Rampage, it doesn't judge as high as well.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't judge, and it's also on the smaller side.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Brandon's opposite whip was 2 feet taller than that. So then you're like
onto a lily pad, right?
onto a lily pad. So
And then
you're
a step off after that. Yeah.
So you're like, all right, well, I mean, it's sick. It looks like one of the most fun like lines to ride, but it unfortunately doesn't on the scale. It's not as heavy.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I would critique on it too of the overall line is, in the past, I mean, learned it pretty early on that when you look at all tentative into a line, like even Brandon did before that opposite whip, but if you look at all tentative, they dock you like crazy, especially in the earlier years when there weren't as many tricks or ways to stand out. Like if you're riding the same ridge as a couple different people, if you look tentative into one of the steeper shoot parts, they'll dock you like crazy. And I remember asking the judges in like 04, you know, like, why didn't I score this higher? What do you think that I could have done better? But that's one thing I did notice about Brendan's is they're as gnarly and steep as those shoots are, you could roll into them better without coming to more of a stop. You know, like just
carry more speed into them.
just carrying more speed would have out. That's if I were a judge, that's probably the biggest thing I would have docked.
Yeah, and I think then like to translate that to the people at home, it's probably relatable to the people at home. Like I know me, I'm not fucking sending drops, and like when something gets gnarly, I'm like, all right, I'm set up. Okay, let go of the brakes now. Now I can go. So it probably makes it look gnarlier to the people at home because they can relate to like that kind of. I guess if they're doing that at home, it means they're doing something that's like insane for them. It's which is essentially the judges are thinking the opposite. Like, well, you shouldn't be going so slow into this feature. You know?
And just coming in with confidence and conviction, like the Sorge and T-Mac are exemplifying that the best of like the least slowing down in the run, they get rewarded for it. So I mean, it's part of the game.
Well, even when Tommy G comes off that top drop and then goes down that chute, comes around the corner, fully that drop has a speed limit, right? But don't lazily walk to the speed limit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he
Don't
rides.
coast to the stop sign.
Yeah, you just rip through and, you know, pull a California stop and get through it. You know, I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's probably like, if we're going to go to that scoring system, maybe that's a category that the judges have control over. Is then that goes into like the flow category. And it's like, well, we're going to dock you a point from your total because it really wasn't like crazy flowy. You know, like maybe that becomes an area that the judges can actually move on. All right, let's press play on the rest of this run.
See, like that's just, I don't know. He's got a setup for that, but I don't think that was even worth really setting up for that Sui, you know, of like slowing down right there. Build a different little lip and try to get something. And
Canyon flips that. I don't think he did at all.
Didn't he? I think he did it at 19, didn't he?
I can't remember which one. He's flipped some very similar ones like that throughout the year, so I can't.
This looks so hectic.
So this is another one though, and so look if you pause it right there, like pause
it just before his wheels come off too.
Yeah,
Keep
right.
going. Pause.
Like that's a sick shoot. It's awesome, but that's also just a good sized cliff. Like you could air that whole thing. So then this shoot, I wouldn't really score high, even how skinny it is, and it's got a drop out, which is super cool to have like a shoot to a drop. But the drop landing was built wherever they wanted to, you know, to line up with it riding well. And then it ends into flats. This isn't high up on the hill to where there's a bunch of elevation still to fall. This one rolls out pretty much into a nice hammock at the bottom and a nice run out. So it's a really cool shoot, really cool find, but there's a lot better uses of your elevation there, or even gapping that whole cliff, like drop the whole cliff. So
you could have gone like to his like right or left. You could have dropped off that or...
See next to the right of the corner?
Yeah.
I don't even know whose line that is, but they're doing that. Like where he's riding down, someone is gapping that, mostly that whole thing.
Yeah, and that's the same cliff band. So it's just something to put into perspective as far as like it's a great shoot. It's super dope. I want more of it. But if you're riding a contest trying to win it, then that is going to not be as advantageous for your score as the other things around there or dropping that whole cliff, you know?
Yeah. Right, press play runs. Bang, off
See,
that.
and then it goes into a nice flat, like a nice run out and reset.
But that once again, there's another reset in the middle of a run, which is tough.
I know he wanted to knack
fluidity.
that.
Yeah.
Flip knack that.
And the judges do know that. And
Yeah.
they'd probably not dock him a ton, but a little bit because they knew that
He
did
wanted
it in
something
practice.
different, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, fantastic run, right? Amazing run. Just like, is it better than Kyle's run? Is it better than Tommy G's run? Is it better than Storch? You're like, I don't think so. But
He was cooked after it too.
Yeah.
I reckon the sun and the heat would have just been so gnarly for those boys.
That would have been so tough coming
all
in.
coming
'Cause
from the UK.
coming from the UK, anyone come from Europe. I mean, we showed up and it was 95 plus out there.
Yeah.
Plus long digging
Dude, it was
days.
hot
It was
that
rough,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even for us, you know, local or that are used to the heat, we're like, okay, back into it. And everyone moves slow, but it would be tough for sure coming from the UK.
Yeah.
You know?
They offered him did you see that offer in Red Bull right there? And he's like, nah.
is that conspiracy?
That is, yeah.
That's why they scored him low, because
He
he
didn't take a Red Bull. Bro, you would get rinsed by Monster.
Dude, who is the dickhead handing him?
Like, that's the only no-no. Like, that's the one.
Who? Like, can we go back to that? See if we can tell who it is from the
I
legs.
guarantee you it was like a joke, like, or just someone that was clueless. Is it
Wait.
someone right there?
Who is it? What color shirt are they wearing? All right, go back.
Yeah, who was that?
Go. All right, wait. All right.
Is that Trisha?
I
There
think
you go.
so.
No way.
Here, you look really tired. Here's a Red Bull.
You know Red Bull gives you wings, right?
Oh my lord, I can't believe it was her.
Oh, that's so good. But hey, she's just trying to be.
Wasn't there someone that said,
And the head shake too. It's just like, no, I can't do that.
somebody was talking to CMC the other day and doing interviews, and they're like, well, you know, it might be a little bit of conspiracy, but like, is it true that Red Bull won't allow anyone that rides for Monster to win? And McCaul was like, are you messing with me? Zink won last
Didn't
year.
Cam win last
Less than a year ago.
Yeah.
They asked him that this year?
Just recently, yeah, right after Rampage.
Holy lord. No, I buy into this conspiracy hard. We got to ignore all facts.
Even
This conspiracy is way more entertaining.
well, it is America.
Yeah.
You guys do enjoy a conspiracy or two.
It's fun. I mean, it's fun to conspire sometimes, but you know,
I feel like that one we're good on.
yeah.
There's just enough, you know. There's
Yeah.
enough facts that being that a monster dude won the year before.
Yeah.
All right,
That might be enough.
yeah. I think we can just that's the Earth is flat though. Righto, Storch. Dude, he just kind of like slowly grafted this whole week, eh?
Yeah.
He's like very quiet, just goes about his deal, and he was just like,
Well, he was just riding well too.
yeah, just ticking it off. It was sick to watch him.
Sometimes he gets overly excited and like makes a mistake or what, you know, like in practice. But he made one in practice, but he's still like, all right, let me reset, let me keep going, and you know, take next day like it's another new day.
Yeah, he just seemed very like
That-
methodical and dialed.
From that angle, it's hard to see, but that was
Go back.
actually like an on-off as well, like off that point.
So here,
So right here,
bang.
land and then air.
Yeah, dude, that was.
And then you see those boulders,
gnarly.
right?
Yeah, so that was raw as fuck.
And
like
so
I was
is
actually
this.
there the
Yeah.
first time he hit that.
This one, he decided to keep the landing pretty damn raw, which is
Cool.
And blast
so
that.
sick into that berm.
Yeah, and then slap the shit out of that.
This is where he crashed in practice.
Yes, it was a big one too. He fell
yeah.
like off that
Yeah,
cliff
full
to
that
the
left
left.
side, yeah. So see how he comes into each little section, even though you have to go really slow, and he's not like fully stopping.
Yeah.
This is the sickest shit ever.
Oh, that is so big, dude.
Look, pause where he lands and see where his head is.
Yeah. But oh my
Dude.
god, dude.
And that's like one of the smoothest big drop landings besides Price is Right, you know, but on a short distance, tall drop. And you're still landing that hard.
Like
Right.
that was. Didn't you guys say he measured it, he measured it 60?
To right there, I don't know.
How did that tire not explode?
So that's a dude,
Pretty good, right? Michelin.
Again,
I
shout
think
out to Michelin.
Dude, I think he was
Dude,
tubeless as well.
Dude, he spun that in 19 with a tire insert too. No, I think he was just on Kenda or something. No insert, but blew off. Not even close to as over-rotated as that. So again, shout out to Michelin because I was like, that is all that I need to see out of a back tire.
And 100% like his tire didn't blow. And as he said that his wheel was actually rubbing his frame from then on, from then down. And he came off this, didn't think he was going to clear it. He's like, okay. And he went as fast as he could for this jump here. But his wheel was rubbing on the frame.
Huh. Yeah. Dude, that's a sick run. That's honestly such a good run.
Yeah.
Really.
For sure.
Dude, I will always judge a 3-drop higher than flip drops or many, many other tricks. Like spinning big drops is the sickest shit ever.
I agree with you. The margin of error that you have, like he probably should have crashed, to be honest, on that. Like that's probably the most extreme over rotation that you could have on that lip. Like a couple degrees more, like he probably
it could have been even too, like if his shoulder was a little bit lower or if, you know, he didn't like push against it as much when he landed that. I mean, frames fell easy, to be honest. Wheels, everything. So like,
or if there was even a soft spot on the landing. Like,
yeah.
Like it's packed, but underneath is a little more shale and just like front wheel into a rut. Like, yeah, huge consequences, way less margin for error on those.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was like as gnarly as you could have a 3-drop and ride out of it.
Yeah.
Like it was so sick. All right. Now this is the fucking heaviest shit ever. Sick setup too. Bike was on point, gears on point. He was locked in all week. Like just seeing him in the lead up to the event, like he was fucking all in. It was pretty rad.
Dude, he is a modern day superhero for sure. Like he quit drinking a couple years ago. He's like the most fit and dialed diet. Like he's the only one not eating the lunch at Rampage, like catered food of like decently catered food. He's on his own meal plan. He's just he's the closest one to Kyle in the grip strength thing. No one else got even close to 200, and Kyle's maxing it out and saying error. But Tom got 190, and like no one else is getting even close to that.
That's sick. Yeah, you could just tell that he was like really, really taking this event seriously. Oh, Cam, go that way a little bit.
The amount of things that are going through your brain right now, like in this scenario or just in general at Rampage, but for Tom, right? Like, I bet he's replaying.
Well, and look at that windsock.
Yeah.
Like this was when it started to get kind of blowy too.
Dude, that's when when I was just on screen, I was walking up to him like, you can't time the whole run. Like you can't map out when the wind's going to be good for that feature. I'm like, your wheels are going to be spinning so fast. You got to just fucking do it. You know, trying to give him confidence for whenever he does want to drop to not worry about it.
Yeah.
And then go figure. I get fucking dealt with the wind. But like, I was just like, you can't really think about it because it's a minute plus and then wind gaps probably won't even be a minute plus. You know? It's like when you decide to go, it kind of just has to be like just letting it all go.
Yeah. How was he in those moments? Did he seem ready?
He's pretty freaking dialed, man.
That's
like
sick.
He's
because you can tell
he's mentally strong as shit, man.
3's the first drop,
and then also coming off of last time he'd drop a couple years ago, and then broke his pelvis and everything from just getting too pumped up after. So he said for this, in all his mental prep, he's saying, "Don't be surprised when you land it."
Yeah, like just keep going.
Yeah, because the other one, he kind of was surprised and then over-rotated the backy, but Jesus.
Oh.
We got to watch this a few times.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Go slow on it. Just full send.
The amount of chill so right through here.
Yeah,
all the way.
Go back, just watch the style. I've never hit a berm with this much style, and he does it right before he front flips this drop. Yeah.
Just full flow.
Full flow.
And then just...
Oh.
Not even pulling the brakes because he knows that if he needs to speed it up, he's going to need it later. Like, imagine taking a downhill bike and just front flipping off of a couple-story building. Like,
no. I will not.
I will not.
I refuse
I will never.
I refuse to imagine myself doing that.
Go back to him running out because this was, shout out to Kyle here for a little cool backstory, but just I don't know. For some reason, it stuck in my head. As soon as I saw him hit the bank after the fronty, like the one immediately after, just a little bit up. So he gets bounced, and then he just handles this riding of this kind of berm.
So he gets
wall.
bounced left.
There was an angle of this to where he's just riding through that like such a G. Looked like World Cup downhill corner, just like so composed. And I remember when Kyle won in 2004, I remember like one of the coolest things about it was how sick he rode the bottom turn after his like or after his Sui step down. And just the little things that just, you can tell someone is just in the fucking mode. Yeah. And after it's all said and done, just like making a corner look sick too, even.
Yeah. Go back. Let's just watch a bit. Yeah, let's just watch it from the fronty. So yeah, slaps that.
So they definitely judge him down right there for not clearing that. But
I mean, also they didn't. I don't think they judged down on GYPSY because he cased that and the one below it, right? So you're like, okay, so if they're gonna judge him that low on that, and then that obviously is huge.
Just
perfect.
Nailed
and
that.
You said flat flip as well.
Yeah, which tends to score higher.
Adding more difficulty to it.
And yeah, he could have done a flip can or a no-hander or something, but he didn't think that he needed it. I didn't think he needed it.
But also, if you're judging that, like, oh, he didn't flip can that bottom jump. Even if you're judging against him, you're like, all right, what exactly do you want Rampage to be, right? So if you're going to judge him that hard on missing a small jump in the middle and missing a potential flip can or flip tuck, right? You're like, all right, well, do we want Rampage to go? Is
that where we're going? Yeah.
Is that where we're going? Or do we want it to go to massive?
Or do we want the front flip up the top?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like an air after a barrel at pipe or something. Like you might get an incremental point, but you're getting a 10 by going deep in the
all
pipe.
The scores in the barrel.
Yeah, and maybe you'd get a little bonus, couple per point, points or like point whatever out. That's what that would be,
That's
like,
actually a really good analogy.
The meat and potatoes of the ethos of this event was that fronty. So anything is just trivial about adding a can or he rolled over the next step up when he was just managing the craziest ride out of the gnarliest shit ever done out there.
And it's crazy to have everyone say that's the gnarliest thing of all the gnarly things that have been done there.
Did you see the lower angle of that as well?
Yeah.
Where like both wheels actually from the bounce, both wheels are off the ground.
Yeah, you can see it there. Go back a little bit. Bounce, both wheels are off the ground.
Yeah.
They're on the ground.
Okay.
And then he's like, I'm just going to roast this corner here. Fully composed.
And then flat drop.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's a big dog, dude. Like that was like, say like the highlight of Sorge's run, And that was as he was winding down with this and
coming off the front flip.
It's too good, man. This is everything that the event is. I mean, if there was a perfect venue where it could have those step downs and then a bigger chute that leads into it, that's as good as it gets. The only thing that's lacking is like a bigger chute, but it didn't provide
there
it.
Isn't a chute on that side of the
where all the potential chutes are. He front flipped the whole distance of the chutes.
Yeah.
So you're like,
I get it.
Dude, that jump was such a big hike to even hit that one jump. And you're like, I'm still walking from landing to lip right now up this cliff band. Like, it's ridiculous.
So, in your opinion, that's the winning run?
100%.
Can you give us some volume on this? I actually just want to hear the interview that he gave after this.
Yeah, did they interview him before?
I think it was before score came out.
Massive. It was the biggest front flip we've ever seen off of a drop. And not only that, you finished the line. You got the chance to finish the line and celebrate with everybody down here and also add more tricks. How do you describe that run?
Oh my God, it's like bringing me back to 2021 where I tried the same thing, front flip on a much smaller drop than this, and then I messed up right after and injured myself, almost ended it all right there. And this is all like, I can't even believe this.
When you landed
he's like
that,
lost
what
for
did
words.
you tell yourself?
The years
chill,
devoted even to the other front flip.
Yeah.
And then to land it,
it's really,
lace
really
it.
Oh, there's the
easy
one I was talking
to
about,
get
the bounce
excited
one.
after that, but all the mental prep I've done, that's like really all you can do from something that size. Paid off. Yeah, buddy.
Just
Yeah, and
a
as you can
strong
see,
fucking bag of
That
muscle,
front
dude.
flip, now he gets to enjoy it and celebrate with his friends.
Fuck every bit of that, dude. Never.
No way. Thanks, Tina.
Yeah, TB.
I mean, there's only one way. Here we go. The score coming in. What's it going to be? An 89.33 going into third place.
Dude, Carson.
Let's see how he
That
feels
hurts.
about
God, dude, I can't even believe it.
it. Jeff, what's the banter up there in the judges' tower?
Well, you just
Good,
saw
just
here
let
on
it
TV.
run.
guys
Yeah, I wanna
just
see
went
what-
upside down. Different rotations of 2 of the 3 biggest features on the mountain. He did tag a couple little jumps that are irrelevant.
Glad he
Exactly,
said that.
irrelevant.
Yeah, glad he said
Yeah.
that.
Little cases here and there.
Well, just
but still,
one,
that
actually.
Amplitude is absolutely
He only tagged
absurd.
one jump.
And as
One.
you saw, he learned from the past. The last time he front flipped something massive, he got a little too jacked up on Mountain Dew, or whatever you want to say, but
Or
still.
Monster.
Wow, holy smokes. Third place, massive. He has room to progress it. So
He ain't never gonna do that
You're
again,
not
dude.
going up there and
Let you
doing
go
that again.
easy.
No.
For those at home who are saying, well, what would he have needed to do to go into first place? What was it about the runs that scored higher than his that, you know, put him all the way down into third place? People are going to want to know.
for sure, I think it's just adding those little filler tricks.
Is that what
everywhere
we
you
want
can see
Rampage
them.
about?
There were little cases, like I mentioned before. Still had 2 of the biggest
One
flips
case.
on the course. Honestly, I feel like the weakest part of his run was the hip jump. If he added something nice in there, it'd be super helpful. And you know what? We
Brent,
gotta
the
stick around,
winner
so
did
it's
a
time to
1
do
foot
it.
table on that
Thanks
hip.
for the insight, Gully. We got another rider up at the top of the course.
Put the audio down.
Dude, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm kind of mad.
So I mean, even if you were to go, okay, all right, like we want more tricks on that hip up top. We want more tricks on that middle jump after Price is Right. You're like, wait, do you want slope or do you want Rampage? Like, however you judge it
Yeah.
is what it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think like if they're very clear on that and everyone's on the same page and it's like, hey, if you're gonna do this crazy front flip, like make sure you do like a trick on everything else. You know, but it just doesn't seem like that's the message that gets delivered.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It holds far more weight than anything else. I don't so yeah, I guess that's all we can say about it. Like, could try to come up with analogy after analogy, but I think the pipe one's probably the
Yeah.
best. Like, or even like talking about John, like all lining up for one giant slash scored better than like Griff or someone doing a couple different airs, a couple different, like letting it all hang out for the one, like,
Yeah.
dude, walk off home run, like
Yeah.
Grand Slam, World Series, just
Yeah, there's 3 riders on base and he just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Do you want to watch this?
I don't really care, obviously, but if you want to, I guess we could look at the windsock again or whatever. But
Well, I mean, you can also go to like, right, like as we were talking before with Tom, the wind started picking up. He was waiting for windows. I don't know, were you waiting for windows up top?
no, I was ready to go. I was
Just ready to
as
go.
soon as I knew that it was only going to get windier, and I was like, "Can I go? Ready to drop?" And he's like, "Yeah, give it 3 minutes or whatever." And then as soon as he said go, I put on my goggles, found the song I wanted, and then I was ready to go immediately because I know that I'm not. In hindsight, obviously, I could have said, okay, let's look at the direction on this top flag to see, which I didn't think that was even a chance that it was going to be blowing me downhill. That would only be coming up or head or
Usually,
hill.
in practice, it was usually up that.
Yeah, it's kind of swirling. So in hindsight, would have been like, okay, I'm going to look at which direction this flag is going and maybe compensate for it. Other than that, it's like you got to just focus because you can't be worrying about a whole nother variable the whole way down.
That is just ever changing, and you know what I mean. Like very, very hard to like get a window for the wind to get right. Like you kind of just on the hill at the time you're on the hill.
Yeah, it's only going to just be an inhibitor. And I mean, after everything been through to even get to that point to feel that good, you're just like, I don't know. I felt as good as I ever have rolling into this run after 6+ weeks of neck pinched nerves and ankles and wrists and sprain after sprain and like separated AC joint and like just to even get to that point. So then you're in the start gate. You're like, I am fucking ready to win. So the win, I was just like, it's good, fine. Am I going to drop her or not? I'm going to go, okay, let's fucking just do it now, you know? So that was, I don't know, proud of myself, I guess, for being able to get into that headspace where I truly felt deserving to win and that I was willing to win and do everything it took. But it shows how gnarly it is. It can just, like, something somewhat out of your control or you could have overlooked just snatches you.
Well, and something, too, that you're not, it's not your hammer, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, it shows that, like, every single ounce of that line, everything is critical and also super dangerous, right?
Yeah, that was the third or fourth biggest drop on the line, you know, so there's far more consequence than the other ones, and wasn't concerned with it. I wanted to flip can it, and I was like, no, I'll do a flip table instead, and then just try to keep focusing on keeping it down and stylish and making it look good because there's so much heavy shit on this. But
I think I was a little bit concerned, like one of your practice crashes. I was like, all right, let's see how he keeps moving forward through that and how much it's going to bother him or not. But then when I saw you do a flip knack at the bottom like 2 days before, I was like, yeah, he's good to go.
Yeah, even morning of, like,
did you one?
Well, I did one the day before prior as well, but like I was still, you know, casing something here and there because my crash earlier in the week, I found out after this one that I had a broken rib from Thursday on the other side. I thought it was just bruised, and I'm like, I'll be all right.
Because that was a heavy one.
Dude, rumor mill flew on that one. Heard from numerous people. A guy at Pink Bike told someone else that my bike broke and it snapped my prototype frame. Obviously, it didn't happen. That's the same bike right there. Dude, it didn't even bend the boxer. I nose cased. What do you think that thing is? Like 30? Like
the start one?
Yeah. It's kind of big.
Oh, diagonal?
And it's,
yeah, where you land for sure. Normally, it's
full nose case.
The sound that the tire made, bro, it just fully exploded.
Dude, insane. So like if I had to, I could have literally put a tube in that and rode, obviously it wasn't holding air, but I could have put a tube in it and rode that rim, let alone did my head tube not rip off. It's kind of insane the rumor mills that fly just instantly.
Is that your frame?
Yeah. Oh. So this thing looks pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it does look good, actually.
Yeah, it's Zink Bikes, man. Launching, like, been slowly putting out waves of launching it, but that's my brand. Yeah,
that's epic.
Thanks, bro. Yeah,
dude, that's so sick.
So this one was first go for my downhill bike, first try, but the first trail bike I've been working like in the dark for like 4.5, 5 years in prototyping frames, and that one took me 4 or 5 prototypes. Because I have different levels of the CADs, but I can't remember which one we actually prototyped. But like 7th drawing and like 4th or 5th rendition of it and actually welded. And it's like my favorite trail bike I ever had. But then learning from everything I learned from that, this was first go on my design of a downhill bike ever. It's favorite bike I've ever had. So
really,
so this was a huge goal for me. That obviously you're there for one reason, to win, but this was like a whole nother level of like, I got to launch a brand. This is what better place to catapult my new bike brand than me as defending champ on my own bike, you know? So there was a bit of a win there, I guess, just to even drop in. But yeah, how sweet would it have been to be holding my own frame? Up top on the top of the podium. But it's the way it goes, man. It's a brutal sport.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's just the ultimate risk reward, you know? Like, you're just taking such a huge risk. Just to even be to get invited, you just have to be so gnarly.
Yeah, you look at, like Dylan Stark, and people are just like, let him in. It's like, well, did you see the other 18 dudes that are in there? Like, who should go? Like, who shouldn't be there? The talent pool of the whole sport is so deep now, not just the people that can win keeps growing bigger, but then the middle people, and then even the world-class level of someone that should be invited is so deep now. Yeah. Like Emil wasn't there that year, and you're like, who would you even pull out to put him back in? It's 50-plus dudes that would be fully capable and do really well, and then there's 15 dudes that could legitimately win it, you know? It's pretty rare. Like, motocross didn't really there's 5, 6 that could maybe win, you know? And barring some weird issue, but Yeah, it's really cool for the sport of how deep the talent pool has been getting.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like I was even thinking that when I left with, obviously like the top 8 get automatically qualified. And then I'm like, there's so many people that could crush this event, but like, how do you pull somebody out that just went up on that hill, spent 2 weeks, dug, then put on a like everybody performed.
Yeah. And then
super high,
And then you're in and you're out too, because Don't Start got in, didn't perform well in that year, and then it's gonna be hard for him to get back in. So I'm a little worried for Luke Whitlock, because he did great performance, but he was toward the end of the results. Like, will he get another shot even? Like, are they gonna swap him out because he didn't like outperform, even though he's leaving a lot on the line for the second run? You're like, I don't even know if he is so deserving and has every right to be there, and he will 1,000% do better and excel more after getting a year under his belt.
Yeah.
But will he even get another shot? It's like there's a board that puts it all together, and I'll definitely be trying to advocate for him. But you want to know if he even will get back ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe ever. It's kind of a trip.
Yeah.
You get a shot, and you got to, especially nowadays, because we came up from it. Really, Kyle got in when the event was relatively unknown. He was only 14, and how he had an amazing name for himself, and then I couldn't even get in until 07 or till 03, so the third year.
Yeah.
And then but then we were fortunate enough to be kind of staples from early on, I guess. But
you
now,
like that AT&T phone plan that's like $40
we're grandfathered in.
And you just
but even
lose your number.
Yeah.
Even 2 years ago though, I've been in every single qualification from the previous year, and then I took myself out, and they're like, "Hey, you got to send in a resume," and I was like, "Oh dang,
the formality
seriously?"
of it.
I'm like, "Really? Oh, okay." Ended up sending one in, but it was kind of wild to me. But I think what some of the problems are with people online is they're like, "Oh, don't let those old guys back in. Don't
They
do
said
this."
that. They were saying that last year for me, which is so.
And you're
hilarious.
like, "Dude, I've proven myself every single time, and there's been lots and lots and lots of riders that will come through. New riders will get in. Some will stay in. Some will stay out or not get back in." But I mean, it's always frustrating when
Well, and it's funny when Chad Reed was retiring from the sport, there was a lot of people that were like, "Fucking, how does he keep getting a ride? How does he do that? He's done. He's old." And Jeremy from Red Bull, he goes, "It's a lot harder to make a new Chad Reed than it is to keep an old one."
Yeah.
And there is a legacy effect that you just can't build the prestige and the story behind these new guys. It's like, as you said, those guys will get a chance, but you have these old legends in the sport, and you kind of need to try and keep them around as long as they're performing at the highest level.
Yeah.
But while those guys are performing, like Kelly. Would you kick Kelly off the fucking tour? Never. Never in a million years would you kick Kelly Slater off the tour. If the guy wants to do it, let him do it. As long as he can perform at that level. Because there's just so much that person can bring. And even, the whole 2 weeks that you're there, having the experience on the hill and helping the younger guys, there is so much more to it than just this guy should be out of the event. This guy should be in the event. I just feel like there's a lot going on behind the scenes that is more valuable than just the race runs that you or the event run that you see.
Yeah, there's been athletes that have come out there for their first time and completely fail, unfortunately, just on learning how to build, how to adjust to
for sure
everything out there. So there's a lot to learn. Just in not just being invited, you're like, okay, I'm invited. What's my next step, right? I got to spend time out here. I got to get comfortable out here with the dirt, with
Bike
what you can and can't ride, bike setup, how to build, what to do, how to pick up a line and go, okay, can we get this done in the amount of time we have before we have to practice and then compete on?
Yeah.
I think is you're hitting on kind of brand equity, I guess, with us. But I think as much as that, there's a direct parallel and correlation with just experience and what is required out here. So if the results weren't there, it could be in the discussion, but it's pretty funny to hear the comments of people tried to say the old, like literally people saying, take the old guys out there, you know, they don't belong, like take them. Like, okay, well, who would you replace and what result over the last however many years wasn't sufficient for you? You know?
yeah.
It's like
so I win last year, but I shouldn't come back this year because I'm old.
Yeah, and then
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that we can provide more, but I truly believe that is also like we can provide more for the growth of the sport and keeping the event on track, and then helping the Groms and the next generation being legacy athletes. I think that's one thing that mountain biking is usually missing is like the heroes are what make the sport and carry on because you get the compassion and being able to like if you watch Receiver on Netflix, I now like all of those receivers, you know, and couldn't care less about anyone besides Kittle and Debo before, but I'm like, dude, I'm a Jets fan now. Dude, Justin Jefferson's dope. Like, just because I got a backstory.
Because you got to know the guy.
Not chew him up and spit him out, and you didn't even get to know the guy yet, you know, to have legacy people as long as they're performing. But then if you are to give them the platform and not be on the chopping block, then there's more opportunity to keep growing and grow at a sustainable rate and like still be here 20 plus years in and still be able to put down a winning run. It wouldn't be possible if they're like here today, gone today, you know? So to foster the youth and continue it is what's going to create a Shaun White of this sport or another Semenuk or another Kelly Slater, to where then they could, like, people gravitate toward that person and follow them and happen to like mountain biking because of that person, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think, we'll watch. Let's skip Cam's run. We don't have to watch it. We don't have to make him watch yourself get fucking.
Keep your eyes open.
I was pumped on the 3 at the top.
Let's watch the 3 at the top.
That's good.
That the live angle. My filmer Rafe crushed it for my vlog, but this angle is kind of basic. But I steezed it out pretty good.
Yeah.
I was pumped on it.
But
this was pretty fun actually. That how it's all rutted and shit, and like really soft.
Felt big mountain.
Yeah. Southwick section.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, see the windsock just blowing sideways, and it's like
there you go. Yeah.
That's where it sends me.
Yeah,
just enough.
So then, how long have we got break? So go back, roll your cursor over where it is right now.
This is something that I really hope that they correct too.
Well, yeah.
After I ate shit, I'm obviously not watching them, but finding out people that were just blowing me up like crazy. Like, what happened? No, they didn't update anyone on anything. He's stable and that's it, you know, like, and then they immediately go back to Sal and he's just like, was obviously directed to not even talk about it, you know, like last time we left Cam, this happened, you know, he was care flighted. And so far here's an update. Like, that's the worst thing you could do. Just bury your head in the sand and just forget about it. Oh, no, we don't talk about that crash anymore.
Show must go on.
Yeah.
That's all I think about. It's kind of wild.
Dude, I was super bummed to see that there was no like update. And I think in the past they've done a better job here and there, but then there's miscommunication with Paul, someone saying it was just a broken leg when he was obviously paralyzed. Like, keep riding, it's just a broken leg. So I think they got a lot of backlash for that. But then they're like, we just say nothing. We just don't do anything.
Because, like, when did you know you were okay?
I didn't know that I had that it wasn't a back. That found out like after the X-ray. Like, it was only an hour and a half after that, probably an hour, because it got me out of there within a half hour, and then into an X-ray probably within an hour of crashing. Honestly,
yeah.
And then that's far before the live feed resumed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, because
bit bummed they didn't keep anyone updated and just cut screen.
Yeah.
Is he dead? Does he fucking die? Like,
yeah.
Did you see when I crashed? There were people were making YouTubes of like Kyle Strait dies at Rampage.
No shit.
Yeah, like just taking images like off of your Instagram or off of like photos and just like he's dead.
Dude, AI shit.
You're just like, what?
That's fucking gnarly. Well, Berriman told me that you're all good.
Oh, okay.
So someone told Berriman, and yeah, he's like, no, he's fine. I think it's like ribs and a lung. And I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah,
this is great.
Considering, right?
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone really breaking ribs like along the spine. I don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure that the first thing I hit was a cliff and it compressed him and broke like kind of just
just
compressed,
like
and they popped on the back.
Yeah.
But they were like all right next to the spine. So I'm not fucking moving. I couldn't breathe anyway, but just like I'm not moving because this is 100% my spine. It's all coming from right in my T whatever area. Excruciating pain right on the spine. Of course it's broken back, right? Super fortunate after that. Fine, it's just ribs and they'll heal fine, and the lung was stabilized after an hour-ish, maybe a little more, and yeah, unlucky, but then pretty lucky after that.
Yeah. I've never punctured my lung. What's that feel like?
You just you get knocked, wind
knocked out,
yeah. But one time I had a bruised lung and it felt like I just had a really big cold, like exactly like a really big cold. But this one of it being punctured, you're just really, really short of breath. You can't, you can almost start to get it back a little bit, but then you're just working on mildly losing your breath, after a while, but just everyone said I went to fucking Zen mode. It was just so much dust in your eyes from the rotor wash of the heli, and just laying there and just want this fucking neck brace off. My neck isn't hurt. Take it off, but they won't, and just fully just zenning out.
Yeah, you're just I'm not here anymore.
Yeah.
When I saw your feet up in the heli, when I went down, you were just when you're switching helis, I was like, oh, his feet's up. I'm like, his back hurts. Yeah. That immediately told me, I was like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
But then even when he was in Zen mode, we were kind of covering when the other helicopter came in. He was like, can you fix my finger?
Oh, I had a dislocated finger the whole time, and I'm like, just fucking put it back in.
And they're like, look, the one guy's in there, he looks over, and he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. And he just yanks on it. And he's like,
Dr.
thank
Crosby.
you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
The other thing I wonder if they can do event-wise is it was very strange to just not know what the deal was. A lot of people left. Obviously, you can't, it's just up to the boys, when they drop, basically. But I wonder if there's, a window where they're like, okay, we can only...
So, I think I know where you're going with that. In our rider handbook, there's a thing that states within 1 hour, if you can't go, they have to make a decision to either postpone or go to the next day, or just to take first runs. And I feel like there was a big hole in what was supposed to happen. Were you technically rider liaison, or was that we never officially?
Yeah, the last few years when we haven't needed a rider liaison, they've Todd's always like, I don't know, choose Zink or Kyle because they're the oldest, and in the past they have been, but they never even picked it. So there's a huge stone unturned of who do we talk to? We implemented a rule. We put it in the handbook. We're going to speak about it in this riders meeting. We're all going to funnel it through a rider representative, but then we don't actually pick a rider representative. It's kind of a lot of...
And there were supposed to be two as well.
Yeah, good intentions, but not a couple of things.
To follow through.
Yeah.
I think after that, it was a bit confusing to most athletes. For myself, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm not taking a second run. The wind is not going to stop. And I knew that, and I was like, I'm not going. So I take myself out of that equation, right? So then I talked to a few other riders, and it was really unsure on when they were going up and when second runs were going to happen or not, right? So at that point, there was 6 riders-ish. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was 6 from memory.
6 riders, and there had been a couple riders ask Todd or, hey, are we getting a big win? Are we getting an 8-minute window in between? So on. So I think at some point there should have been communication on second runs within that hour, right? If you don't go second runs within that hour, it has to be communications on, okay, what time are we going? I heard from that it was kind of 5 o'clock we're going to go, which is confusing. I don't know if that was the latest they could go with the webcast.
Yeah.
But as we know, every day it's kind of windy at 5, and it doesn't get nice until later after that. And then once riders were up at the top, I think that there was a miscommunication on, okay, do we get 8 minutes before our runs or not? And it went from no to yes, I think 3 minutes to then 8 minutes once Tommy G got second run. So,
yeah.
Then it went from there. Tommy G went, Brandon went, and then no one was allowed to ride after, or not able to ride after that. So, I mean, even when I was out there, I was like, oh, well, I guess second runs, wonder where the placings are, because second runs didn't count. So in previous years, that was kind of, what it went from. Was it 2013, 20, what other years?
Well, the 2013 when he won, yeah. They did a couple second runs, and and they didn't. If not everyone got through the full second runs, then they didn't count. That's always been the rule. So then to find out that Tom Isted, Luke Whitlock, and
Adolf was up there, I think.
I think Adolf.
And Talus, I think.
Yeah, I think they were all up there wanting a second run, didn't get it because maybe they missed their window. But like it's a gray area of if you skip out, if you go through your 8-minute win window and then you don't go, then it goes to the next rider. And if they don't want to go, then how many is it before it's fully canceled? Or they just the last dude only needs to go, and everyone then they count the second runs. You know, it's kind of a weird gray area, but it's supposed to be. If you don't get through all the second runs, none of the second runs count. And everyone gets a win gap before they have to forego their turn onto the next. But there's no clear point of at what point is it contest over? 2, 3 people neglecting their turn, you know? Or is it, say there was 18 people at the top and there's too many for everyone except for the last one, and then he goes like, you know?
Yeah, because it's, fuck.
Where does it become reasonable, right? Of like
a
fair second run.
Yeah. I mean, dude, this whole event, it just seems like an absolute fucking headache.
When it is. And this was the longest one ever, and this had never been experienced. So you think he'd done it all in 20 plus years of doing it, or how many total? 18 actual events over a 23 year period to new hurdle, unforeseen problem of we thought that we'd just chop it in the day, but now we have something else. If Brandon wants to go super late, is that something we cut out? Is that something we adhere to?
I think it's tough too. I mean, with your remaining riders, let's go back. Like if in 2013 that was, I think, the last time it happened, or it might have happened after that. We couldn't really remember. They blend in, but so like a good example is, okay, there was quite a few riders, a couple riders, I mean, under a handful of riders that went in 2013, and then it got to me. I couldn't ride. Then it went through the rest of the riders. No one wanted to ride in the wind. They couldn't ride in the wind. So unfortunately for dudes like T-Mac, that year, his second run, he went because he went first, and that didn't count. So you're like, well, that's kind of BS. That's bullshit too. You're like, it's frustrating. So where is the right formula to be like, make sure it works? Because also, even for those dudes that were at the top this year that didn't get second runs because of the wind, you're like, that's also bullshit. You know, so you're like, where do we go, and what's that formula to like better the event in the future?
Yeah, because I mean, for Brandon, like, he pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
The run was windy. It wasn't going to get any less windy for anyone else. It wasn't less windy for, the run before him. So it's like he should be rewarded for like being able to do his run. Again, it's part of like how you build your line and shit.
Sure.
So yeah, but then it's like if other guys can't do their second run, I feel like if you don't do your second run, you're just like giving up your second run. If you want to do one and you can do one, then I feel like it should count. Like T-Mac, like if he did his second run and it was better, why shouldn't it count if he was able to do it? It's like kind of on the rider to be like, I'm not going. So yeah, I don't know. That's a very hard one.
It's a tough one, right? And like, we're dealing with forces like the wind that we can't predict, or we can't figure out. And like sometimes you are able to just push through it and make your run in the wind, but it's I don't know, how do you make it the most fair on all directions?
Don't have no answer.
I really thought you were thinking something there. I was like, oh, I can't wait.
Let's watch this run anyway. This is obviously the winning Rampage run 2024. One Mr. Brandon Semenuk, the freak of all freaks.
No vest. Decided to ditch the vest.
Yeah.
Overheated.
McLovin, take off the vest.
He did it. Well, he didn't land it with the vest on, so
yeah.
Big fan of the vest. So actually, I have a Carhartt vest. It's like probably my favorite item of clothing that I've ever bought. It's one of those ones too where you're like, do I really need a vest?
Yeah.
And then you get it and you're like,
I love this.
I want to wear this to bed.
I do. All right, so he's pulled the trigger. Oh, Fast forward to that. Oh, yeah, here he goes. Yeah,
Still running 26 rear wheel.
holding it down.
He was the only rider to actually manual that top pad too. The truck.
Trucks.
Look at the wind blowing in the back one and the front one.
Dude.
See,
the
like, if
wind
that's
was gnarly.
But see how that's actually headwind.
Oh, it's
compared
dead right there, yeah.
Dropped off a bit there. Yeah. So yeah, you can't criticize Tom.
Hold on, pause it for me. Yeah, I was gonna say about Tom, right?
Yeah.
So like
that.
Yeah, that was
basically
a
the
table.
same thing.
That's a pretty dope 1 foot table.
Sick
for sure.
table,
100%.
But like
But
Tom,
you can't criticize a guy
yeah.
that realistically very similar. Like he did a 1 foot table there.
Yeah.
Not that that's not a great thing.
Totally.
But I just don't think that it's like that
Well,
much
run
of a
to
deal
run, yeah.
breaker. You know what I mean?
And the
You're
fact
not
that they
basing
claim
your,
that.
you're not basing your run around it.
No, that did not win Brandon the Red
No.
Bull Rampage.
Yeah.
That trick right there.
But apparently lost it for Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one, man. They
Sick. Yeah, look at the windsock.
he looks
everywhere.
so good riding it too, though. Like
That,
much as I
wind was
don't think
down.
that like the line score should have been capable of the win this one, he rode this so damn well. Like
That's epic.
everything looks so like stylish, perfect, flowy. And this is his only like hesitation, but with good reason.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the way you guys broke that down before too. And he got that so clean this time. And then into this.
Just bolts.
God.
Actually, I forgot he got a little bit
Yeah.
wicked on that.
Yeah, a little bit squirrely there.
And then Oppo 3,
Dude,
like a G.
he was sessioning this one of the practice days and just did a different trick off that every single time.
He likes bike riding just a little bit more than everyone else. Was it Garrett Reynolds said that about, or no, Dennis Anderson said that about Garrett Reynolds. He's like, he just likes bike riding a little bit better than all of us. He is way too good.
And
man.
you know what is like wild too with Brandon? Like there's just everyone's got a crew, everyone's got a posse. They're like you're coming down the mountain into like this huge group of people. And then Brandon just like chucks his bike and he's just chilling there by himself. We were like filming with him the whole week and I'm like, I felt weird if I'm like the only one that goes out. I'm like, would he be mad if I like gave him a high five right now? Like, is he just enjoying his time?
He's a very interesting mind, dude.
He's unreal.
For sure an introvert, but that's like, he's the delicate genius, what Tyler Moreland used to call him. But he is one of the strongest mental competitors in the history of anything.
And man, like I've been lucky enough the last like 12 months, spent a bit of time around him. Just such a good, genuine, nice guy too. Like he's so, I mean, he's obviously like not underrated as a rider, but man, like he's just such a cool, nice guy too.
Yeah, I think what you're kind of hinting at is he's underrated as a person because he doesn't want his life public, which I respect. Like he's an introvert a little bit, but he's also just wants to keep his life private. And hats off to him for that. I mean, he does his own program and runs everything. Like, dude, he's an artist. Like he's an artist, even with his Instagram and everything. He doesn't need to show pictures of his daily life. He wants to show what he does for
his
a living.
Job,
he does his job and keeps it separate. And I think it's refreshing, especially for someone to have that big of a following.
Yeah.
But not really letting people in that much, But he's a good dude, great dude. Just that can be separate. Like he can keep that, delineate it from his career.
Well, and even, like those friends and family passes, so hard to get. You get such a small amount. Gives one of them to my wife.
No shit.
Because I'm like, man, I just really want to bring my, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my media pass. Like, I'll try and get sorted. But I'm trying to bring my wife out. I loved it. He's like, no, don't worry about it. I'll get her pass. So just little, like you wouldn't, not like you wouldn't expect it from him, but like I didn't even want to ask.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, just let's not worry about it. It's like, no trouble at all.
Good
So
deal.
it's just, like those little things, like you're never going to like get that insight. Like he's that guy, but it's those things that are like very telling in a person,
And he's not out.
And he doesn't,
He's not going to tell everyone that, but like he gave Dylan Stark his first bike. Like he gave him a downhill bike.
Yeah.
He does. he didn't go and broadcast it to the
Yeah.
world and say, "Look at what the good deed I did." He just did it because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So super cool guy. Like, and just, yeah, you're right. It's not that he's
He's doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah. And it's not that people think he's not a good guy. It's just people don't know.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't give any of that shit away. What do you think's going on here? What Brandon's reaction? Let's watch that. How do you think he feels about the score?
Details of the run even more.
Turn the
kind of
volume
deciding
up a bit.
what
Go to the
value is more to them. You know, those technical features or those massive amplitude features. And like Cam was saying, the judges always talk
If
about
we're going off
amplitude, because
deductions,
amplitude
Simon
means
had
risk,
like more
and risk
deductions
means reward,
available,
usually.
but I don't think they should have like because he tagged on 2 jumps, right?
2 jumps, yeah.
But I don't think
Rode a little bit slower, but if you go back to what we kind of were talking about,
tiny bit, right?
with what we were kind of talking about like the GYPSY line choice, or like line judging, right? Like Brandon rode his line like better than you could ever think of, and more technical. But I think on my opinion side, like if I'm in that GYPSY line choice judging, right? Like I'm gonna set it just below, you know, than Godzie's line.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
he
then
rode
there's
it
room
insane.
to add. Yeah. Yeah.
He rode it insane. And Godzie could definitely clean it up for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Care where I end up, to be honest. I didn't want to leave it at that. I wanted to get a run. I wanted to just put on a good show, and I'm happy. We waited it out. It definitely was a little bit windier, but yeah, super happy to get down.
Just turn to your left.
Wow. Even he's like,
Brandon Semenuk takes over the
Yeah, I
lead.
think he was a little surprised.
Yeah.
Even before
When you
the
were
score.
down here and they were taking their time, what did you expect?
To be honest, I wasn't expecting that. It's so hard to know. Like, I look at all the other lines, and dudes are riding so good. The first runs are insane. So yeah, I mean, I was just happy to get to the bottom.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a great score, but it's so hard to tell. Like, this event's insane, and yeah, I'm just so happy to watch all my friends kill it today.
Yeah, it was such a great rampage. We still have a few
he's
more
definitely not
riders left to
claiming
go,
the
but
win.
No.
What a great score and what a great
know?
run, Brandon.
Yeah. It's a weird one, right? It's like Simon had like
Turn
two.
that audio down.
Simon had like 2 cases, but then like this.
That's crazy.
So lands, gets a little squirrely, rides out. Okay, that's all. Like they tend to like give bonus points for that, you know, or like it looks cool and exciting, and he held it together, but it was roughly a mistake, right? Because it makes it just look so much more compelling. But then if you like definitively case, it doesn't look as cool, but that was also a mistake and messes up your speed for the next feature. So like it's just adding a little bit of adversity to continue on. But they tend to score squirreliness or like getting on the edge pretty high. But if it's a definitive mistake, it's like it's just deducted horribly, you know. But they did not really in Simon's case. I guess maybe I'd love to hear what they said about why Simon, you know, if he could have done better, why Brandon beat him, or if it was even based on deductions of that.
Yeah. What if you had, you know, your line judging, right? You have it beforehand. Then you go to potentially like all the riders ride, and you get your scores out after everyone rides, and then you go out and after that, and then you have like, you can actually find out what the judges were thinking or not thinking in the runs.
Like open judging, like open scoring kind of thing.
Because we'll never know who judged what, and
well,
maybe
that's where I think like if the
for
deductions came in, you know what I mean? Like you could literally see like you'd have the
Yeah.
score, it'd be
Oh,
like
yeah, the
92.5, and then it's like flow was like you're saying on Fairclough's run is like, okay, the flow, he didn't need to go slow into that. The flow, there's a point gone.
Yeah.
And then it's like on, I don't know, fucking cleanliness in terms of like cases
amplitude
and shit.
and things
like
like
there'd
that.
have to be, because I feel like casing, over rotating, getting squirrely comes into like that's a category. You know, so and then if you saw like the projected score was a 94.5 minus at these deductions, you can see there's four categories of deductions. Bang, 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 bang. that's what the score adds up to. Like you could literally then walk to the top of the hill and go, all right, if I don't case and I don't do this and I clean up that and I go a little bit faster into these runs, I'm going to get the score.
Sure. And whether or not that's consumer facing, whether it's just only told to the riders, because that would ruin a little bit of the suspense and the allure of it, right, for the spectator. But who knows? And
it's wild to me that even, you know, as athletes, we're like, I don't know how I'm going to score.
Yeah,
you actually have no realistic. You're like, you think you do, but then when you come down, you're like, all right, I guess I was
There's
here.
no baseline at all.
There's no baseline, of where we think we're going to score. We can try and guess, you know, from a previous year or how they're doing runs, but if you're going early, you have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to be something added to it where you actually have an understanding of where you might, if everything went well and your line was perfect and you did a great job, all that, you're going, oh, I'm going to end up here in 5th. Or where X spot.
Yeah, we obviously have better memories of our personal experiences, but like my favorite run that I've ever had, I got 6th place, and I thought it was still to this day my favorite one that I've ever done. And just you get down, and it was I think I came in the lead, but I went pretty early on. But then just seeing the score, I'm like hyped up. I did it. Like I'm. You know, after all that battling and building, and like I did it, and then you see the score, and you're just like, oh shit, they're not liking what I'm doing today. I don't know why. The year prior, I got 2nd, and I elevated that line. Why? You have no idea. You're just in the dark, and it's just a bit of shot in the dark, even with being competed in more than anyone else. You know, like you're still just like, what are they stoked on today?
Yeah,
you know, what's going on in the booth?
What you looking for?
Yeah, like what's going on in that booth? You know, like one comment could change everyone's direction and kind of the overall theme of what they're focusing on, or what's the sickest shit out right now. You know.
Well, and I think there's a weird thing when you get a bunch of dudes in a room, and they're talking about it, and they're like, oh, what did you think? Like, it's so easy to like convince people of where it's like that to me, like, isn't judging, you know, like there should be. And maybe it's where one judge is on this deduction, one judge is on this deduction, one judge is, so they can't even fuck with each other's. I don't know that that's how it is, but like you got dudes in a booth and then there's all the kind of talking back and forward. So yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of the day as well, this is worth saying, God, how hard would it be to run that event?
Yeah.
Like just they do such a fantastic job of putting that event on for it to run all the years that it's run, the logistics that goes into it. I know from an internal perspective at Red Bull, it's like a marquee event for Red Bull. And that's one of the biggest companies in the industry. You know, so it's like mountain bikes has created one of the most valuable events in a company that is in everything.
Yeah.
Formula One, they're in Supercross, they're, you know.
It's brought mountain bikes to full mainstream, right?
100. So obviously they do a fantastic job.
1,000%.
And the spirit of this podcast isn't knocking the event. That's obviously not what we're trying to do, but it's like, I think
it's all just trying to be proactive,
for sure,
right? Just
for sure.
Keep charging, keep making it better every
I think
year.
also too the love we have. Like I know for myself and Zink that we wouldn't do it unless we absolutely love it, and we love being out there, love building, love being part of the event, right? Like we just want it to keep going forever, you know. And how do we fine tune it, and how do we make small changes, or how do we make it to where everyone has the greatest opportunity to or chance to win, you know?
Yeah, and I think by like having these conversations and by just brainstorming, you know, watching it back, I just think as well, everyone was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
You know, and not necessarily like, I'm not like, I mean, fuck dude, Brandon's run was amazing. But I think that the Tom's thing was kind of full on for that, you know, so there was some things and it was like unanimous.
Yeah.
Everyone from like riders to the internet, like a lot of people were just like, how do they score this? What are they looking for? You know, so.
Yeah, this is imperative, right? Just even putting it out there of where do we go? What would be the right answer rather than that is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately what's been happening a lot lately, especially with the judging, is this does not fly. This is not, everyone's in an uproar about this incident. Okay, well, what
do we do?
What should it have been, and how can we get to that point?
Yeah.
But, and reminding people that it's still an opinion, and your opinion might not be as informed or educated as the judges alone. Or it might be, you know, do yourself a favor and go out there before you really are like willing to die on this hill, you know?
Well, and yeah, that's 100% right. I just, after going to Rampage, you couldn't talk about it without seeing it. Like really talk about it. Like until you've like been on the hill, I think it would be very hard to get the perspective. Like I've watched a lot of shit. I've professionally traveled the world watching cool shit for the last 15 years. That was fucking gnarly. Like that was a very, very heavy week of experiencing a thing, you know? So it's like, as well, the people that have never actually been out there, you're missing like a fairly sizable chunk of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Todd and H5 Events and Red Bull Rampage, everyone putting it on, because gave us such a cool life and a unique experience, and play superhero for the day, right?
Yeah.
And just get a chance to be like, live out our hopes and dreams. Like the world's watching too, you know? This isn't some niche, it's kind of a niche sport, but to have an outlet for it to where it's on the world stage is just like, what cooler thing that could you have in your life of what we wanted to do originally, what we are, you know, just built our lives around the sport, but then to actually have something like this to strive for and make it worthwhile at almost 40 to like still be wanting to do it. And it just drives my family nuts and puts them through so much stress, and they want me to hang it up years ago, but it's like, it's something that's still worth it because of this event.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, if it were, there's many events that have came and gone, you know, over the last couple of decades, and not any one of those like could have ever been to this magnitude. But even if they were, I wouldn't be like still grinding for one of those, you know, at this late in my life, and like I'd rather spend time with my family. But this one is worth every bit.
The juice is worth the squeeze.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's such a treat to be able to be involved with it for so many years and watch it grow and help put a little stamp on it, you know, help try to steer the ship and guide it.
And more prize money this year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been shooting for that one for a while, but finally it was cool to see it finally happen, and more appearance for you this year, which is good.
Yeah.
And then also too, I mean, there's been a lot of things that have changed over all the years, right? Like in a positive, and we've seen that evolve through it and kind of like help guide it and request things or whatever. And it's, I mean, you take the event, you know, this past event or this past couple weekends ago, and you compare it to like 2010 or 2016 or 2018, even when I was at that same venue, and they've made a lot of really good changes. I mean, not having like an intermission in between runs and trying their best and our best to make a good show, right?
But yeah, I know it wouldn't have happened without us being the most candid and willing to, you know, rock the boat. Because like some of the biggest set of rules came. Paul's crash was 15, right? 14 or 15?
15.
So they knew wind was coming, or weather. They thought weather was coming, so they moved the event forward a day to a Friday. It was always on Saturdays previously, and everyone on Thursday night went into panic mode because they were realizing, oh, I have to do my whole line and I have to compete tomorrow. I thought I had another day. And 4 people went to the hospital that afternoon, broken femurs and shit. So, and then Paul got paralyzed the following day, and there was some problems with the care flight, and there's problems with like just a lot of things that shouldn't have happened. They were mandating we take our GoPro cards, but they wouldn't pay them for us. We couldn't, you know, all these other little rules that had to get really dark before a new dawn.
Yeah.
And then they implemented no riders will go until the care flight's back, and all these other things like, and then the event will never get pushed forward a day for safety. So they were really receptive, but it was unfortunate. It kind of got to that point.
Yeah.
And then we keep barking like it. we need more prize money. Street League skateboarding, 250K. US Open of surfing, like this is more dangerous and has more eyeballs on it. That's the biggest thing. It's more marketable and has more. It's more controllable and has more eyeballs on it. You can pay us more, but then we would do it anyway. We'd be out there no matter what. Whether they're giving us the only ability in a negotiation is to say no, and we're not going to say no. So it's taken a long time, but I remember the meetings early in the year. I was like, we need 100K. We need and then it showed up, and they did 100K for first now. Yeah,
dude, the money matters. I talk about this shit in Supercross all the time.
It legitimizes it even more.
I use this analogy all the time. You're at a bar with your mates. You go on the TV and you see motocross or Supercross, and you're just tuning into Vegas, and you're like, wait, he's about to win $1 million fucking dollars. That instantly turns it from you're just some kook riding around on a fucking dirt bike to now like, oh my God, like that's actually crazy. Everyone can relate. Tiger Woods, the Masters, standing over a 3-foot putt to win. Everyone can relate to how nervous you would be and how full on
how much is
it
on the
must
line.
feel to stand over that putt and have a chance to win that much money. Yeah. So it's like it does matter. It's $100,000, but it's not $100,000. It's worth so much more than $100,000. When you find out that someone's doing some crazy ass shit for like fucking $500, you think the guy's an idiot. So that's literally all you're doing is you're just making us not look like fucking fools, really.
Way more legit.
Well, and how much more appealing is that to a Grom watching it?
For sure.
You're watching like, oh, I could be up there. I could win $100,000. And, the Brandon is a product of like the first wave of free riders, and then after him, then Emil. And then like after someone needs someone to look up to. And there's going to be a far bigger pool of kids looking up to people if there's more money on the line and they have something to look. And even their parents that are funding the whole damn thing, like, okay, there actually is a future in this. Maybe we could dedicate some time to it. Win. Like, everyone wins with more prize money.
Yeah, totally agree. So, what's next for you, mate? What's coming up? Got anything going?
I leave tomorrow. I'm going to a race in Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's from my buddy Braden Bringhurst. He's putting on an event, and it's kind of a test event for those guys. And we'll come back after the weekend. I got another slalom race in Orange County, one of our races again.
Yeah.
Then I'll be probably the next day go down to the Bottom 1000 and go hang out with those guys. And
sick.
Yeah, that's always like my.
That's your little holiday.
Yeah, that's my little holiday. I usually try and do no bike November, but it's going to be a little bit late this year, unfortunately. But. And then we get wintertime. Actually, we have another race in December as well.
We're going to ride some moto?
Dude, I tried to power wash my truck yesterday and a bunch of things and the side-by-side, all the stuff from Utah or from the event. And I was like on my way to power washing both my motos so that I could work on them.
Yeah.
Power washer died. And I was like, all right, okay. So my plan is to sell both motos and maybe get a Stark or I don't know.
I just got mine.
You did?
You want to ride it?
I'd be super down.
Yeah.
I rode Mitch's the other day at his house, but so motoing, especially too, once it rains at the ranch, I'll be there all the time.
Can you ride, is there like good dual sport trails from your place?
Not from my house, but like another
or
20,
in that area?
Up in Pine Valley. There's really good stuff. And then out past even McGrath's place out there.
Yeah.
McCain's is like one of my favorites. It's kind of like mountain biking on a moto.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, because I think I'm going to do the dual sport thing this winter,
sick.
Yeah. Get like a WR450 or something.
Yeah.
Can you ride any of those hills in San Clemente?
I've heard you can.
On a dual sport?
I've heard. Someone was talking about some the other day. I think there's a lot of stuff you could run a dual sport on and probably get away with.
Yeah.
But probably not too many legal stuff, but...
Because we went hiking in the, like the Patriot Trail that goes up to like the flag.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just there going, fuck, I could ride into here like.
Yeah, might as well try it.
So I feel like I need to, the Stark too, like you'd be able to get away with a lot on that. But I just be like, dude, I'm fucking lost. Where do I go? Like, I feel like you could do that once maybe or twice.
I think you used to be able to ride saddleback all up in those hills and like over into Corona and stuff, but I don't know if you'd be able to get away with it now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That'd be a sick journey over Ortega and all that stuff, right? Like,
I think there's some trails through that, like Ortega bit.
Yeah. I'm pretty stoked to get back on the moto. I haven't ridden moto in a couple months.
Yeah, what's next for you? So you got probably a little bit of time to these old fucking rack of ribs heal.
Yeah, I got a goal. So
you break the whole rack.
we go to Maui in mid-November to start working on the bike park for Lahaina.
Sick.
And donated through a lot of sources. Kona Bikes put in some money, and then since Rad Trails, my nonprofit trail building, we're doing the build. But then Mountain Bike Coalition, the Maui Mountain Bike Coalition, and Ray and Moose at Cranked, and like just a huge community effort. Kubota is going to donate some machine usage, so we don't have to pay for machine rentals. So I think Kyle might even be able to come out and dig a little bit. Storch is coming out. So that's my biggest goal right now, to be able to like actually ride a bike in 5 weeks, I guess, a little over a month.
You probably, I bet you can e-bike.
Yeah, it'd be like so I'm 8 or 9 days out from being broken. I think Mitch was spinning 20-minute motos to 6 weeks. 6 weeks after
5 weeks spinning 2 20-minute motos, and he broke
11 ribs in both lungs.
Damn.
And his sternum.
No, dude, I've done my sternum. That was so bad,
dude.
bro. That sucked.
I talked to him yesterday, and he said he overshot. He's like, God, ribs are good. I was like, what do you get x-rays? He's like, oh no, I overshot 100-footer and slammed my chest off the bars.
I knew it was broken.
No, but this is yesterday.
Oh.
This is yesterday. He said, oh, they're good to go now, because he slammed his chest off the bar. I was like, all right, cool.
Good test, bro.
So I got apparently lofty goals by a lot of people's standards, but Mitch is my little test bunny. Like, so my goal is to get to Maui, be able to build an incredible bike park that'll live there forever. You know, leave a stamp on Maui, I guess, and give something back. So many bikes over there that Crank Cycles and Jim Falk Motors have donated year after year. So there's all these kids with like 500 plus bikes got donated to Lahaina, and
that's
like not many places for them to ride it. Got, you know, a thorn in the side of Maui Land and Pine and Ray, and have been a huge help to be able to secure a piece of land that they couldn't really do anything with, and then we'll have a bike park there forever. It's really close to Honolulu Bay, so I want to be surfing in a little over a month and riding a little bit. That's my only really dangling carrot until then. Just hang with family and enjoy downtime, or try to like go to like my son's soccer practice and my daughter's dance, and watched them surf yesterday, and trying to
just be normal,
enjoy not doing anything for a minute. But then try to get to surf and build a cool bike park.
When are the bikes going to come out?
So we have pre-sales launching. I was trying to get them going for day of Rampage. Website backdoor access. We'll be giving out the codes.
Is the website ready?
Website's pretty much ready, but
there's
just a landing page. So So if you go to zinc.bike, and right now it's just email capture, and I'll be actually texting people if you put in your phone number, trying to give updates as to, you know, nothing's going to come sooner, but looking like bikes should be done and landed before Christmas. But pre-orders will open up really soon. But check out zinc.bike, and I'm looking to get it going as soon as possible. But no matter what, like the site, everything is being done in the background, and the bikes are on their way. It's just a matter of when you're going to be able to pre-order them.
Yeah, sick. And then census groups, census pedals, obviously.
Yeah.
All of that.
Tailgate pads, and launched our new gear bag. Kyle's running it. Tom and Storch and Adolf, and everyone's running it. It's like a really unique way to put a full face helmet in a backpack and not lose space.
Yeah.
Whether you're traveling or just going to the bike park for the day, or going to the jumps, like the public, jump park. So
sick.
I'll get you one.
Sick.
I think I might have. I'll either ship you one or whatever. But like I remember Brandon Semenuk of all people going to a slope contest and having a backpack on, and then his helmet backpack. And you're like, or your helmet little purse, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, why are the best dudes like having two bags? Like need just one gear bag. Call it the MP for Mary Poppins. It's like
because you just fit so much shit in there.
Yeah. But I'm super pumped on like always designing new products out of necessity. And things that like I really want to use for my own sake. But then same thing with the bikes. Like this is the bike that I've always wanted. So, and I know that there's gonna be other people that like this style too. But no one's really making a bike this aggressive on how short the rear end is and how progressive it is. And low back pivot, so it's easier to manual and not like the opposite high pivots, right?
Yep,
like
yep,
it's there's custom things that the frames the companies have been making for us. Like Kyle has a customer in, but they're not selling that one. Like why? Why don't we just sell the stuff that all the pros want to run? You know, YT did it for us, but they wouldn't sell it. So it's like, this is the bike that I want, and I know other people will want as well. So out of necessity, but trying to do whatever I can with the experiences I've picked up along the way, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, boys, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having that.
What a treat, eh? What a view. Couple of the boys. This was awesome.
We're all, San Clemente residents.
I know, yeah. Well.
Hey, dude, I've spent my time here, dude.
Yeah, true, eh?
Spent plenty of time here.
I'm fucking loving it, eh? Like, I literally yesterday did nothing. We went on a hike in the morning. We went for a bit of a walk, but yeah, then I just came home and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna absorb the vibes from the walls of this house.
Are you a Back Bay hiker or are you a Laguna Beach hiker?
No, we just the San Clemente, where the trails are. Yeah,
sick.
Just fuck. I have a problem calling it a hike when you just walk up a road.
Yeah,
just really. But I mean, that's like the thing. If I say to people I went for a walk, it's just not as aggressive as what we we did.
Whatever keeps the ladies happy, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just cool.
Yeah.
Keep the dog and the ladies happy.
Thanks again for having us. Like,
appreciate
just
it. Running
down that is cool to be able to do. We were kind of chatting about on our drive home and stuff, and it's nice to be able to kind of like refresh and think about what we can help out in the future to make a better event.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see people's thoughts. Obviously, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. Be interesting to see what people think, but cool to see if like it can help progress it going forward.
Oh yeah, and hopefully it opens the floodgates, but just in a constructive way, right?
Yeah.
This isn't just bashing time. This is like, I have an idea. Hey, like your idea of just, we'll just add in the rider implement, but not a full rider judge. Okay, that's a great idea, actually. It's like, keep them flowing. Keep the good ideas coming, and I think we could formulate a system.
For sure. All right, just feel like getting some food. I'm fucking hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.